if a pack of vicious, man-eating ghouls came after you and your friends while you were enjoying a remote mountain getaway, what would you do? 1 year after a terrible tragedy changed their lives forever, 8 young friends returned to the very place where it all went down in the hopes of finally putting the bad memories to rest. But while they might be looking to forget about the past definitely hasn't forgotten about them, and it's had all year to cook up the perfect little horror show to make this a night to remember, if they survive, that is. Turns out, revenge isn't the only thing on the menu this evening. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the ravenous undead in Until Dawn. Now, this might come as a surprise. Sometimes I actually do check the comments section, and based on what I saw under the quarry and my Nerd Explains Reddit page, it's clear that Until Dawn was in desperate need of the nerd. To that end, I present to you our definitive take on Supermassive's magnum opus. For those unfamiliar, think of it like the quarry's cooler, older brother who drives a GTR Nismo and only smokes American spirits. Just like before, we're going in blind. Neither Martin nor I have ever played this game before, and we deliberately avoided looking up any gameplay footage that might give away the right answers. What you're about to see are our genuine reactions to the situations presented, wherein we'll use our expertise as professional nerds to make the best decisions possible, or otherwise explain what our characters should have done instead. Full disclosure though, we did have to go back in the episodes to re-record some footage that was jacked up due to Martin's gross mishandling of the capture card, but we made sure to recreate our actions, choices, and all his mistakes down to the most minute detail. That said, I still need help coming up with a proper punishment for him, so let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. I do know that he's afraid of both spiders and rejection, so maybe we could do something with those. Anyway, without further ado, let's try and survive Until Dawn. Hannah's got it bad for one of her guy friends, and the days leading up to the party at her family's lavish vacation home, dude was pretty much all she could think about. So you can imagine her delight when she finds the nice little love letter Mike left inviting her up to one of the bedrooms. Little does she realize, the note was written as part of a sick prank orchestrated by Hannah's so-called friends, and it seems Mike couldn't care less about breaking her heart to pieces if it means getting a laugh.
Oh my god, she's taking her shirt off. What? Oh my god!
Wow, you people suck. Predictably, this results in Hannah storming off into the frozen wilderness surrounding the house. Although, I have to say, she goes a hell of a lot farther than I would have given the circumstances. I mean, sure, that's gotta hurt, but you'll die out here. And while I suppose that might actually be what she's going for, the fact is, it'll be a lot harder to reap her sweet revenge after losing her fingers to frostbite. Nerds, you know I don't like to sugarcoat things. In fact, I'm more of a rub salt in the wound kind of guy. But here's the deal. Should you ever find yourself in a situation like the ones that we cover in these videos, one of, if not the biggest influence in deciding your fate is fitness. Plain and simple. And no matter where you might land on the physical skill tree, maintaining a proper diet is outright essential to reaching the next level. Fortunately, today's sponsor can help. I'm talking about Factor. Factor makes nutrition intake easy by delivering fresh, never frozen meals directly to your door. Each week, you can choose from a menu of up to 35 different options, including popular selections such as Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, Vegan, Vegetarian, and more. Plus, they even have snacks and breakfast options, as well as smoothies, juices, and a variety of quick bites to keep you full and feeling great all day long. As for your part of the bargain, it's simple. No prepping, no scrubbing pans. Just pop a meal in the microwave, cook for 2 minutes, and presto, food on the table. But don't get it twisted. This isn't some sad second-rate bachelor chow you'll have to hold your nose shut to shovel down. The food from Factor is actually good. Like, really good. So much so that my local takeout joints have started checking up on me. Okay, not really, but I have cut down on ordering in dramatically since I started getting Factor meals. I mean, it's just so convenient. Now I can actually take the time to feed myself while I'm crushing squads on Enlisted. I just got 5 Factor meals and 4 cold-pressed juices this week. I mean, don't those sound good? Herbed ricotta and beef ragu, unstuffed spinach ricotta shells, and jalapeno lime cheddar chicken. These meals come in handy after a long day of work. Just pick what I'm feeling, pop it in the microwave, and boom, dinner's served.
Yummy.
The juices have been clutch as well to get even more healthy fruits and veggies into my bod. So anyway, if all that sounds good to you, head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code NerdExplains50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video. Worse yet, everyone at the party, Hannah included, has been consuming copious amounts of alcohol, which contrary to popular belief, doesn't actually help you warm up. Sure, it might make you feel warmer as the booze forces blood up to your skin, but this comes at the cost of pulling it away from your core, which only makes you freeze to death faster. In fact, this is very similar to the final stages of extreme hypothermia, wherein your blood vessels dilate and send a surge of warmth back out to your extremities, and then you die. The only good news here is that she at least made sure to stay on the path instead of running aimlessly into the forest, wherein she could get turned around. This, along with her footprints in the snow, make it easy for her twin sister Beth to eventually track her down. After all, no point in chasing random bird noises out into the woods when there's an obvious trail to follow. Unfortunately, this is where things start to get Wait, was that a flamethrower? What the Why is Beth not significantly more freaked out by this? I mean, she clearly heard it. And even if she missed the bright burning flames lighting up the tree line, that definitely did not sound like a deer. Well, whatever. Hannah's right around the next corner, so at least they can both GTFO before things start heating up, right? Wrong. As if it weren't obvious enough already, the girls suddenly realize they're not the only ones screwing around out here. And judging by all that rustling in the nearby bushes, whoever, or whatever it is rapidly closing in on their position. Now, unless some of nature's minions figured out how to construct and operate a gas-fed flamethrower, I'm thinking it's a person. There's also the fact that Beth clearly saw some creepy masked stranger skulking around the house right before things fell apart. Gee, I wonder if they're related. Seriously though, Beth would have to be absolutely knee-walking wasted to have already forgotten about that dude when she only saw him like 5 minutes ago. And while his intentions aren't exactly clear, I get the feeling he's up to no good. Either way, we should probably huddle up somewhere off the beaten path and try to observe him from concealment. The snow will make it easy for him to follow our tracks, but as long as we create enough distance, we can always circle back to the house if it looks like he's following us. However, based on their reaction, I can only assume our protagonists haven't put 2 and 2 together yet. In that case, our best course of action would be to treat this as a wild animal encounter. After all, were it some of the other partygoers, you would expect them to be calling out ahead to try and find their missing friends. And once again, there's no reason for any of them to go barreling through the vegetation when there's a clear path available. Knowing this, we'll want to calmly back away from the source of the movement, while also making a lot of noise. Depending on the wind, it's possible the creature hasn't picked up their scent, and believe me, wild animals do not like surprises. This whole mess takes place up in Alberta, Canada, so wolves and mountain lions are both possibilities. Grizzlies too, although hibernation would make sightings rare this time of year. Honestly, I'm more worried about moose. Sure, they might not sound as scary, but keep in mind, each year they kill more people in North America than the other 3 combined. Regardless of the animal, our current response should be the same. Just back away slowly while speaking to it in the hopes that we can break line of sight and or find some kind of shelter. And yes, I'm aware of the whole play dead routine when it comes to moose and grizzlies, but that's in the event of an attack. This is still a potential encounter, so there's no reason to jump the gun when we still don't know what we're dealing with. Of course, what we definitely don't want to do right now is run away, as if it's a predator, it'll almost certainly chase us down and eat us alive. But alas, it seems Beth and Hannah choose death, as they both bolt down the snow-covered path only to wind up cornering themselves against a sheer cliff. Yeah, not a great place to be right now. Moreover, both of them should have been aware of the dead end considering they've supposedly been coming out here regularly for years. I mean, it's not even that far away from the house. Well, guess all that's left to do now is rock, paper, scissors to see who gets the honor of feeding the beast while the other slinks off back to the house. One thing's for sure, there's no point in getting any closer to the cliff because, you know, it's a cliff. Safety is not in that direction. Plus, with all the snow on the ground, it'll be difficult to tell where exactly the sidewalk ends.
No!
See? Just like that. Now, it seems unlikely that Beth would be strong enough to swing her sister's full weight back up to the ledge one-handed. But hey, you never know unless you try. I mean, the fact that she was able to catch her and still stay holding on for any amount of time at all is pretty impressive by itself.
You're gonna hold my weight, all of it. Okay, come on. You can hold on to my full weight. I can do it. I don't want to die. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Although, that still doesn't change the fact that they're both completely hosed unless help arrives. And wouldn't you know it? Another burst of flame from above heralds the arrival of the mysterious stranger Beth saw earlier. It is here that we're presented with the first important decision of the game. Do we selfishly let Hannah fall to reach for the rescuer's hand? Or do we stay loyal to the end and face death together as a family? It does seem pretty high up, and taking Hannah out of the picture would substantially increase Beth's share of gargantuan inheritance once the parents inevitably croak. They do own a mountain after all. Jokes aside, even I'm not about to let my sister die without doing literally everything in my power to save her life. And I honestly feel like there's a third option we could explore here, this being communicate. Why not tell the guy that we're not going to let go of Hannah to see if he can come up with anything else besides offering a single outstretched hand? Dude's packing a flamethrower.
Here. Oh, take my hand. Ah, come on.
Give me your other hand.
Oh, my other hand isn't strong enough.
Maybe he can dangle the nozzle down far enough for Hannah to reach it and hoist herself up. Just make sure he kills the igniter first, so she doesn't accidentally burn herself to a crisp in the process. One thing's for sure, dude's definitely not pulling both of them up one-handed. Even in ideal conditions, there's still a pretty good chance the girl's combined weight would drag him off the ledge with him. And in this case, he's standing on slick, snow-covered rocks that offer very little in the way of traction. Truth is, if there's no way for him to pull the girls up separately, one of them's gonna have to go. But that doesn't mean we have to cut her loose without warning. Instead, we should tell Hannah that we're gonna try swinging her over to the other side before letting her go, so at least she can avoid hitting that giant rock directly underneath her. If she knows what she's doing, Hannah will then attempt a parachute landing fall by dropping feet down with her knees slightly bent and rolling to her side on impact, all while keeping her head protected with both her arms. Make no mistake, this will likely break one or both of her legs, and maybe also her back. Actually, she'll probably die no matter what, but we could still round up the others to at least try mounting a rescue operation once we get back to the house. Assuming we survive, that is. Sadly, none of these strategies are available to us in-game.
No, God!
And since Hannah hasn't bravely volunteered to cut herself loose a la Vertical Limit, our only option is to simply let Jesus take the wheel and release our grasp on the route. Besides, maybe we'll get lucky and land in a snowdrift or something. In 1944, RAF gunner Nicholas Alkmaar survived an 18,000-foot freefall that way, so why couldn't we? Not a good start. You know, in hindsight, that was a really bad idea. As hard as it would have been to accept in the moment, Hannah was pretty much screwed the second they fell off the cliff. And if Beth really wanted to help, the best way would have been to ensure her own survival to get search and rescue on the way as quickly as possible. Oh well, no do-overs. Personally, I blame Martin. It seems he really just wanted both of them to die for some reason. Dude's got serious problems, let me tell you. Anyway, here's hoping Corporal Womack does the right thing and tells her friends what happened, so they can at least have a proper burial. Spoiler alert, he does not. 1 year after the incident, the twins' bodies are still yet to be recovered, but that doesn't stop their brother Josh from throwing a commemorative show rager up at the house in honor of his missing siblings. Now, it's unclear whether he knows exactly what went down with that whole prank thing, but I find it a little hard to believe that he would invite the same group of people if he had a reason to suspect they played a role in his sister's disappearance. You know, unless he's plotting his revenge. Sure, call me paranoid all you want. In my experience, if more than one person knows about something, it's no longer a secret, especially when you're dealing with high schoolers. And given just how many people contributed to Hannah's little humiliation ritual, I don't think there's any conceivable way at least some of it didn't get back to him. Now, I'm not saying it's at all likely Josh is gathering everyone up at the secluded mountain home so he can nail the door shut and set the place on fire. but he might be. Although realistically, he's probably just planning to get them all hammered to the point that someone coughs up the whole story about what happened to his sisters. And of course, it's entirely possible he already has all the details and is just looking for a chance to call them out on it. Whatever the case, there's no way I'm going. It's not so much the potential for conflict that bothers me. I just really don't like the idea of being stuck up on a mountain with someone who has a good reason to hate me. And I do mean stuck. You see, it turns out the vacation home is only accessible via gondola, and while I'm sure there's some kind of access road used to haul in larger materials, what do you bet it's currently buried under 6 feet of snow right now? That, coupled with a lack of cell phone service, makes this place a prime location for things to go horribly wrong. Seriously, all it takes is a power failure and we'll be stuck up here until ? And that's entirely beside the possibility that Josh has some kind of trick up his sleeve. Still, it's not like a bunch of hormonal party people are gonna pass up an opportunity to run wild for the weekend. And so I can hardly say I'm surprised to find out that they all accepted Josh's invitation. One by one, our heroes arrive at the house, only to find the front door frozen shut. I guess we're supposed to believe that Josh has just been out here freezing his off all night waiting for his friends to arrive, which sounds like total BS to me, but whatever, maybe he's an idiot. Anyway, while the others make themselves useful by doing absolutely nothing, Josh and Chris walk around to the side where they find an unlocked window leading into a basement. Once inside, the host lays out his master plan for thawing out the lock. By combining a Zippo with a can of Axe body spray, they'll create an improvised flamethrower, which even I have to admit sounds like overkill. I mean, why couldn't Josh simply hold his lighter up to the lock and melt the ice that way? Or at the very least, they could try to find another door that isn't iced up and bring everyone around. It's not like they'll be going in and out all that much with a snowstorm outside. Even weirder is the fact that Josh sends Chris to stumble around the pitch black interior of his family vacation home all by himself while he runs off to sort something out. Sort what out, dude? What could possibly be more important than keeping your friends from freezing to death right now? Oh well, I'm sure Chris can probably handle it without burning the place to the ground. After all, he's in our control. That pretty much makes him unstoppable. Plus, it also gives us a chance to do a little snooping around on the off chance Josh rigged the place up with RDX. Predictably, we don't find anything all that out of the ordinary while poking around the house. Although we do come across a voicemail recording from the local PD regarding the mysterious person of interest Josh's parents were looking into. Evidently, they couldn't find enough evidence to keep the guy locked up, which only makes sense given what actually happened surrounding the twins' disappearance. Still, there's no way anyone else could possibly know about that, least of all Chris. So, it would probably be worth bringing up to Josh in private in case there's something he's not telling us. You know, like the possibility of running into a homicidal maniac hell-bent on exterminating his entire bloodline. There's also the fact that we found an open window up on the second floor. I mean, just think, if this thing had been open all winter, there'd be a literal snowbank forming in the living room right now. No, this would have had to have been opened recently, which means that either Josh was already inside at some point and didn't bother mentioning it, or that we're not alone.
Oh, it was just a cute little baby Wolverine.
First of all, that was no baby. And second, Wolverines are the toughest things on 4 legs. Alright, if they were 6 feet tall, they would rule the earth, and we would be forced to serve them as though they were living gods. You show some respect. Where was I going with this? Doesn't matter. Obviously, Chris survives his encounter with the Thunder Weasel and goes on to defrost the door with some good old-fashioned middle school magic. Although, he'll probably wish he hadn't once the drama clacks off. You see, it turns out that while Josh was mourning the loss of his sisters, some of these winners spent the last year playing relationship musical chairs. And, at least in Emily's case, it's clear that there's still some unresolved feelings at play.
I'm about to get right up in your business, you.
Are we about to get real? Because I am down to get real.
Where's Jerry when you need him? Fortunately, Josh swoops in to de-escalate the situation before it can come to blows. although it's pretty clear conflict is inevitable as long as these two are around one another. Realizing this, the host with the most exiles Mike and Jess to the detached guest room for the weekend so they can get cozy without setting off another show. So everyone wins, right? Well, not so much. Turns out the path leading up to the cabin hasn't been maintained in ages, and while that probably wouldn't be all that difficult to simply climb over the fallen trees and whatnot, the lovebirds instead decide to cut through an old abandoned mining tunnel with all of zero hesitation. Seriously, what is it with choose-your-own-adventure games and abandoned mines? I mean, it's not like anyone in their right mind would actually choose to enter something like this without at least knowing where it lets out. Which, of course, Mike and Jess do not. Right now is when you simply accept defeat and walk back to the house like a normal human being. Sure, there's still the issue of conflicting personalities. But obviously Mike and Jess weren't going to stay at the cabin forever. Besides, the place is massive. I'm sure between all 3 floors and however many rooms, they could find a way to keep the 2 girls from clawing each other's eyes out for a day or 2. But no, I guess we're doing this. And wouldn't you know it, fate makes them regret their decision almost immediately.
Oh, no way am I going back to the lodge, aka Wax Museum, to drink hot chocolate with
Jess!
Well, she didn't last long. Good thing Emily still has feelings for him, or this weekend might get boring. Sadly, it seems Jess is totally unharmed, and being the shining paragon of chivalry he is, Mike jumps down to give her a hand. Okay, so as I stated previously, we have no way of knowing where this thing leads, or if it even leads anywhere at all, but we do know that there's an exit right behind us. Yeah, I don't know, guys, this is a pretty tough decision. Oh wait, no, it's not. Mike, boost Jess back up to the ledge so she can go get help. If that won't work, try moving the mine carts back and climbing on top of it. And if that won't work, use the oil drums instead. Boom. Until dawn beat. Thank you to Raytheon for sponsoring this video. Okay, alright. In all seriousness, we were kinda just homing in on anything shiny at this point. So it's certainly possible we might have missed something here. Feel free to berate Martin down in the comments if that's really the case. That said, the overt lack of button prompts makes me think none of the aforementioned options exist, which is a little disappointing given the only alternative is to walk deeper into the unknown and away from obvious safety. I mean, at the very least, you would think once another minecart came rolling in out of nowhere, Mike and Jess would want to GTFO ASAP. After all, someone or something clearly set it in motion, or it would have remained at rest. And since no one else is supposed to be up here tonight, that is probably bad. Oh, and now there's creepy skittering noises coming from just up ahead. Nothing to read into there, right? God, it's like any and all self-preservation instincts they had went straight out the window the second they heard about a private place to hook up. Then again, Mike and Jess are supposed to be high school aged, so I guess I shouldn't be all that surprised. Lucky for them, the tunnel system eventually links up with another trail on the surface, and by the looks of it, this one's in far better shape. Still, we shouldn't let our guard down just yet. Before entering the cave, Mike and Jess heard a particularly awful screaming noise coming from somewhere out in the woods. It sounded just like this. Now, if I had to guess, I'd say it was a mountain lion, because that's what they sound like sometimes. Well, sort of. In reality, the call is closer to a woman screaming, whereas this was more like a demon from hell sent to reap the souls of the living. Either way, it would have been all I needed to hear to rethink making peace with Emily. Fact is, whatever made that noise, it's probably not our friend. So we should make sure to stick close together and walk side by side to avoid someone getting singled out. Mountain lion attacks aren't common by any means, but neither is hearing one scream, so we might as well play it safe. Of course, it also doesn't help that Jess claims to have seen someone skulking around the cabin while looking through a conveniently placed binocular stand. And while we as Mike don't see anything ourselves, that doesn't mean we should dismiss the notion entirely. Back in the mine, we found some evidence of recent human activity in the form of a relatively fresh cigar stub and some kind of spiritual shrine-looking thing. Now, it's impossible to tell who left that stuff and when, but given the state of the place, I can't imagine Josh and his family spent much time in there. And yet, despite the growing number of red flags falling all around them, Mike and Jess continue on their merry way without a care in the world. Hell, at one point, Jess even runs off by herself so she can jump out and scare Mike half to death. It's all fun and games until someone gets eaten, or dies of hypothermia.
Oh my god! Ah! Oh!
Damn it, Martin. What planet are you from that was appropriate right now? Like, I'm all for getting a little payback here and there, but given everything we've seen so far, our #1 priority should be staying alert, not poking around in random rundown shacks, and definitely not playing into some throwaway romance subplot that won't even matter here in like 5 minutes. Not to mention the fact that dumping Jess in the drink like that just put us on the clock. Everyone knows wet clothes in winter go together like toasters in the bathtub. That is to say, Goldilocks is 100% going to freeze to death if we don't find the cabin pronto. Of course, knowing this, I gotta wonder why on earth Mike would even go through with the prank in the first place when it was painfully obvious what was going to happen. I swear, the devs need to implement some kind of emergency stop feature for when your character reacts to button prompts in the worst ways imaginable. And speaking of dumb decisions, the game almost immediately hits us with another, when our heroes come upon a mortally wounded elk bleeding out on the trail. Here we can choose between comforting the dying animal during its final moments, or putting it out of its misery. It's basically 2 different shades of Liam Neeson. However you want to look at it, the correct answer is neither. I mean, just look at this thing. It clearly didn't do that to itself, and because of the general scarcity of food this time of year, you can bet whatever predator put this critter down is gonna be extremely aggressive in defending its kill. In that case, what we should do, the only thing that we should do, is stay as far away from it as possible while calmly and cautiously continuing on our way. But wouldn't you know it, that option's simply not on the menu here. Granted, in hindsight, that might be what they would have done had we simply let the timer run out. However, at the time, we assumed that doing nothing would cause the game to pick something for us. And since we couldn't know how Jess might react to the coup de grace, we opted for the slightly lesser of the 2 stupids and went with comfort. It goes about how you'd expect.
It'll be over soon.
Okay, that actually went a lot better than I thought it would. Still, the outcome isn't great. Now, whatever killed the elk is hot on their tail, and while running from a predator is never a good idea, they already are. So, we might as well make the best of it. To that end, when forced to choose between staying on the path and risking a shortcut, we go with the former, as neither of our protagonists know this place well enough to start cutting corners. Furthermore, we'll be able to move significantly faster while running on the trail, whereas any dense vegetation, deep snow, or rough terrain along the shortcut would only make us easy pickings for our pursuer. After a harrowing run through the forest and an agonizingly awkward gate opening sequence, the honeymooners reach the cabin just in time for Jess to fall flat on her face. Sorry, babe. Looks like this is where you get off. Alright, we're gonna help her. Last thing I want is to be alone in this nightmare. Besides, I can only imagine the mystery beast stopped chasing them a while back, or else, well, one of them would probably be dead by now. That being said, they're not out of the woods yet. Mainly because they're not out of the woods yet. At some point, they're gonna have to go back down to the main lodge. And while things will hopefully become considerably less terrifying in the morning, I say we just stay hunkered down until the others come looking for us. Safety in numbers, right? Plus, even if it's only Josh who shows up, the fact that he made it at all would suggest the coast is probably clear. At the very least, it buys Mike and Jess more time to make bad decisions, which is clearly all they're thinking about right now. One thing's for sure, I wouldn't even consider getting cozy in this dump until we've secured every last inch of it. Not because I'd expect the wild animals to follow us inside, or even because Jess thought she saw someone out there. It's just because I have to. Look, you can't review horror movies for a living without becoming just a little bit consumed by paranoia. Lucky for us, Josh's folks left a hunting rifle lying around, that we can lean on for protection, and in light of recent events, I won't be going more than an arm's reach away from that thing until we're back on the gondola. But no, apparently it never occurred to Mike and Jess that Bigfoot might be hiding in the bathroom with a chainsaw. And after a little bit of mood setting, the couple starts warming up for the main event. That is, until the sound of glass breaking reminds them the world still exists outside this one small cabin. This is the part where we grab the rifle, make sure it's loaded, and then patiently wait for the threat to present itself before sending it off to Jesus. Or at least it would be if we were able to interact with it right now. Why? Why won't you let me take the gun? This is insane. Nothing good could possibly come from investigating this disturbance, especially unarmed. Oh, never mind. It turns out Jess's lost cell phone decided to randomly yeet itself through the bedroom window so she could find it. That's what Mike seems to think anyway. Jess, on the other hand, isn't convinced. The way she sees it, the others must have followed them out here and found the phone before choosing to callously vandalize Josh's property for no other purpose than getting a rise out of them. Obviously, one of these explanations is a lot more plausible than the other, but I think it's safe to say that we're dealing with something far more sinister than either of them realize. Whatever the case, it seems both of our heroes missed the fact that the phone is playing back some kind of message, which I'm sure would shed some light on the situation if either of them bothered listening to it. Instead, Jess takes the opportunity to storm out onto the front porch and address the problem directly. Keep in mind, this is the exact spot where only minutes ago they were both running for their lives. All I can say is that it's a good thing Mike did and said literally nothing to try and stop her from potentially throwing her life away over stupid drama. I was starting to get bored here. And yet, by some absolute miracle, our girl is able to speak her piece without getting pounced on, for the moment. Oh no, it's worse than you could have possibly imagined. Again. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that we are in way over our heads here. I mean, did you see that freakish monster hand grab her by her hair? That sure as hell was not a mountain lion. Honestly, I wouldn't hold it against Mike if he decided to barricade himself inside the cabin and wait for help to arrive. Or, just live there. Forever. But being the alpha Chad McDeluxe that he is, you just know our guy's gonna go in after her. And hey, he even remembered to bring the rifle this time, so maybe he actually has a chance. Oh, except for the fact that he didn't check to see if it was loaded before running off into the night.
Why, what are you, stupid?
Nor did he remember to grab his jacket, which means he's almost certainly going to freeze to death once he inevitably gets turned around out in the blizzard. Remember, this whole mess takes place in Alberta, Canada, during early February, which coincidentally is supposed to be the coldest time of year up there, wherein temperatures could drop to as low as 40 below zero. It does not matter how much adrenaline or machismo is coursing through your veins, you will die out there. End of story. Of course, it also doesn't help the game is constantly tempting fate by offering us shortcuts, like jumping down sheer cliffs or leaping across narrow ravines. But rest assured, there is no way we're falling for that shit. After all, we're no good to anyone if we fracture our ankle trying to shave off a second or two doing something stupid. Plus, with all the snow on the ground, it's difficult to tell where ledges actually end. And you gotta believe they're gonna be slick. In fact, throughout our playthrough, you'll notice we consistently avoid any prompt that seemingly saves time through reckless feats of agility. Slow and steady definitely wins the race. Although, maybe not this time. Well, wait, maybe she's still alive. I mean, you don't necessarily need your bottom jaw, right? Oh. Never mind. Oh well, at least whatever did this to her was nice enough to poke its head out afterwards. Smile, you son of a... Now, some of you might be questioning our decision to squeeze Trig without establishing positive ID, but the way I see it, anyone up there with that thing was going to die anyway, so it's probably fine. All I know for sure is that there is no way, literally no way, that I would ever consider climbing up to find out. As far as I'm concerned, we killed it. We're the hero. It's time to go home and start working on our book deal. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. That's right. The moron actually goes up there. Yeah, don't worry about the fact that this whole structure is wildly unstable, or, the possibility of some extra pissed off boogan waiting at the top to rip you to shreds. No, this is all gonna go great. I just know it. Besides, what exactly are you hoping to accomplish here? It's either dead or it's not, and if it's not, you're dead. Either way, it's not gonna bring Jessica back, and if you go down too, there won't be anyone left to warn the others about the horrible monsters lurking out in the woods. And sure enough, Mike eventually reaches the top only to find nothing. Well, it was nice knowing you, dude. Lucky for him, it seems the creature must have skedaddled after taking one to the face. Instead, all he sees is some mysterious stranger walking harmlessly away. Smile, you son of a... Oh, what happened? Could it be because you didn't check the magazine before charging into the unknown? Or maybe it's because you never actually cycled the bolt after firing that shot. Alright, whatever happened, it's probably for the best, as that would have definitely been a bad shoot. Obviously, the relatively normal-looking dude casually sauntering away wasn't the thing that pulled Jess out the window. I mean, given we've already crossed into the paranormal, it's not impossible that we're looking at some kind of Jekyll and Hyde type situation. But even then, you'd think he'd be in a far more of a hurry to get away. What we should have done here is call out to the guy first. At that point, if he starts to run away, we blow his guts out and try to catch his last words. Sure, it still wouldn't be justified, but we're in a mine shaft. For real though, if he's managed to survive being in close proximity to that thing, the dude almost certainly knows what he's doing. So we'll definitely want to talk to him. Of course, that assumes we live long enough to catch up to him in the first place. And wouldn't you know it, Mike just discarded his only weapon without bothering to double check whether it was actually empty.
Idiot.
Maybe try looking down the barrel. No, he's right. I'm sure it was only loaded with a single round. Cause, that's totally something that people do all the time. Now, the other problem here is that Mike somehow still thinks this guy is the one responsible for Jesse's jaw-dropping demise. And while we know that probably isn't the case, if that's what he really believes, he'd have to be completely insane to continue his pursuit without bringing along some serious firepower. I mean, even if I knew for a fact that the man had nothing to do with it, I'd still want to have at least some kind of weapon on me given we don't know his intentions. And once again, no one else is supposed to be out here. Sure, the empty rifle could make for a service club, I guess, but seeing as how we're potentially going up against something that can do this, and this, maybe it's time to admit that we are completely outmatched and go back to the lodge where it's hopefully safer. Unfortunately, it seems Mike never considered any of these things before recklessly power sliding under a descending steel shutter that then blocked the path behind him. So now we don't have a choice. Awesome. Oh, well, for all we know, the others aren't faring any better right now. Let's find out, shall we? Winding back the clock a bit, we find Chris, Josh, and Ashley just as they're about to commit the cardinal horror movie sin of screwing around with a Ouija board in a dark and spooky house where 2 dead people were last seen alive. And predictably, things start getting freaky fast.
Hannah? Is that you?
Watch out!
Yeah, I take it Hannah hasn't quite gotten over it yet. Okay, no, this is clearly bullshit. And I know it is because Ouija boards themselves are bullshit. What, do you think Hasbro's out there selling doorways to the spirit world? That sounds more like Boeing's game if you ask me. Look, I hate to go full Reddit mod on this one, but the whole thing works through a combination of human suggestibility and unconscious movements. Basically, you're expecting something to happen, and so you move the planchette without realizing it, hence why it won't work if you're blindfolded. You can't see the letters, so you can't trick yourselves into spelling something out. Add a couple other people to the mix, and no one's gonna be able to tell who's doing what. And yes, before you ask, I have tried one out for myself, and no, nothing happened. I mean, yeah, everyone else that was there is dead now for some reason, and sometimes my dog starts speaking in tongues, but I'm sure that has nothing to do with it. All that being said, I do still think that there's some shenanigans at play here, just not the spiritual kind. Someone is clearly driving this thing on purpose, and I'd bet my satanic talking dog that someone is Josh. After all, breaking out the Ouija board was his idea in the first place, and what better way to make a guilty party come clean than by fooling them into believing their victims are calling out from beyond the grave. However, the biggest tell in my opinion is the way Josh puts on a big show of acting all butthurt, like they're the ones pulling a prank on him, as if anyone would be callous enough to mock the dude's horrible family tragedy right to his face. Haha, your sisters are dead, idiot. Get rotated, please. But wouldn't you know it, Mystery Inc. buys the whole shtick hook, line, and sinker. And now danger-prone Daphne thinks they ought to take the board at its word and go investigate the library. You know, just in case the twins' killer left a confession on hardback. Ah, well, what's the worst that could happen, right? I'm sure Josh is just planning some kind of elaborate jump scare to make them feel stupid. He certainly set them up for it. What with the secret bookcase room and the depraved handwritten note vowing to skin Hannah and Beth alive. Huh, okay, that last part does seem a bit over the top for something like this. Still, what matters most here is that Chris and Ashley seem to think it's legit, in which case, I gotta wonder why they'd continue poking around the pitch black interior when the only logical explanation is that whoever penned that gem left it there for them to find. One thing's for sure, if I thought I was sharing a house with a perpetrator of a double homicide, I'd want to arm myself with more than just a candlestick. I mean, it might have worked for Colonel Mustard, but he had the element of surprise on his side, so we should at least try and find a fire poker or something, in case it turns out Josh isn't the only one hiding behind door number 2.
Josh!
Josh! Coming! Hold on! Ashley! Ash! Hey!
Calm down, bro. It's just a prank. No, obviously, this has transitioned into a self-defense situation, which should have been evident to Chris the moment Ashley got yoinked. We can clearly hear what sounds like her getting violently choked out in the other room, and yet Soyface barges in, totally unprepared for a fight, like he expected Dick Dastardly left her tied up on the train tracks. First of all, we don't throw our shoulder into a door. We either kick it in, or use a ram, or blow it up. Obviously, doing what he was doing was going to force him to overcommit and fall right into the trap, whereas kicking it in would have given him a chance to let it breathe and survey the situation from the outside. At that point, he could have either run away to look for a weapon or chose to engage on level footing if he felt his empty-handed skills were in order. As for the mysterious attacker, let me ask you something. Where was Josh when all this went down? Ashley thought she heard him on the other side of the door before she got, but when Chris came barging in after her, there was no sign of him. Or was there? Look, I get that it doesn't actually prove that he's the man behind the mask, but we haven't seen them in the same room together, right? Ergo, Josh is Batman. Or wait, well, whatever. You know what I mean. The biggest issue here is that for this to be true, it'd mean Josh was willing to cause his so-called friends serious bodily harm. Sure, choking someone out isn't likely to have permanent consequences, but hitting someone so hard in the face that they lose consciousness is far from harmless. And there have been plenty of instances where either of these actions have resulted in people dying. So this goes well beyond the realm of mere practical jokes. That being said, we've already established that Josh has a clear motive for wanting to seek revenge on these people, so it's entirely possible he's planning to kill them all anyway. Outside of that, let's think about the order of events here. Josh suggests they play with the Ouija board. The board, which was almost certainly being manipulated by Josh, brings up Hannah, and Josh says he's fine with continuing. It then goes on to say that Hannah was betrayed and killed, and that they should check out the library, at which time Josh decides he's actually not fine with it and storms off. Of course, once inside the library, they find the secret room with a conspicuously placed note. And since it was actually Josh who told them to go in there, that means he already knew it was there. So, either he knew the deranged psychopath who murdered his sisters left the message behind the bookcase and chose to work it into a prank on his friends, or he's the one who put it there. Which scenario sounds more likely to you? My point here is that I think it's more likely than not that Josh invited all of his friends back up to the mountain so he could torture and potentially kill them as punishment for what they did to Hannah. And no, I'm not saying he had anything to do with what happened with Mike and Jess a few minutes ago. That's gotta be something else entirely that we'll continue to explore here in a minute. For now, we come back to Chris, just as he's waking up from getting knocked the out. It seems our masked villain dragged Ashley off to an uncertain fate following the confrontation, although judging by the blood-splattered wallet she left behind, wherever she is, she's probably not happy. All I can say is that it sure was nice of the evil bad guy to leave Chris a fully functional flashlight that he can use to search for her, and, not stomp his brains out on the hardwood. Now, if I had to guess, that's probably because this freak show is intent on screwing with them some more before the coup de grace, which would explain why the only unlocked doors are the ones leading to the dark, scary path behind the house. Oh yeah, there's also this. Subtle. Yeah, so how about we don't play directly into the killer's hand and go find some help? Fact is, if Ashley's really at the end of this path, it's to serve as bait for some kind of trap or ambush. Either that, or the sick bastard just wants to catch the look on our face once we see what he's done to her. Whatever the case, it's not like the dude's just gonna hand her over without a fight. We all saw how that last bout went down. No, I think our best bet right now is to gain access to the other side of the house and go find Sam, if nothing else but to warn her about the present danger, assuming she's still alive. Last we saw her, she was headed upstairs to take a bath, so we'll start there. As for how we get there, there's plenty of options. Kick in a door, break a window. We could also loop back around to that basement window from earlier and sneak in that way if we don't want to make a lot of noise. I mean, the game makes this house seem like it's frickin' Fort Knox, and it's definitely not. I'd go as far as to describe the main floors as utterly indefensible. There's no way you're keeping anybody out of this place for very long. Anyway, once we have Sam, our next move should be to head back down to the cable car station and see if it's still operational. Ideally, we'll run into Matt and Emily along the way, as they previously went back to look for some missing luggage. At that point, if the gondolas are still working, we'll cross the ravine to the lower station, where there should be some amount of cell phone service. After all, back when Sam was first coming up, she heard Chris's phone receive a text message from inside his bag, so at the very least, we'll be able to shoot someone an SMS telling them to call the cops. Also, provided we can round up the extra help, it'd be a good idea to keep 1 or 2 people posted at the top to make sure that no one can hit the E-stop and leave us stranded halfway across. Otherwise, we'll just have to risk it. Now, of course, if the maniac beat us to it, we'll have to get comfortable. Well, maybe. I just remembered that the house has a landline that was seemingly still operational back when everyone first arrived. Problem is, were I about to start terrorizing a bunch of unsuspecting youths cut off from society, the very first thing I would do is sever their communications, so I can't imagine that phone line is still intact. Don't get me wrong, it's still worth a try, but I certainly wouldn't get my hopes up. And since leaving the mountain without the gondola is impossible, our only other option would be to hold out until our folks back home realize that we've failed to return as scheduled and to notify the authorities. Naturally, this assumes we bothered to inform them where we were going in the first place, but I gotta believe between all 8 partygoers, at least one of them told someone what they were up to this weekend. Guess we'll find out. In the meantime, we'd want to stick together as much as possible and arm ourselves with whatever we could get our hands on. Then it's just a matter of barricading ourselves inside the strongest room we can find and trying not to freeze to death before the Mounties show up. That's what I'd do if it were all up to me. In this case, we have the problem of Loverboy Chris inevitably wanting to go find Ashley. And while I suspect his chances of getting her out alive are slim, it's not entirely out of the question if we go about about it the right way. First off, we're not trying anything without weapons, even if all we can cobble together is a handful of kitchen knives taped to broomsticks. Sure, the attacker... Nah, you know what? Screw this. There's no way Josh isn't behind this, okay? I'm calling him Josh from now on. Anyway, he didn't appear to be armed earlier, but that doesn't mean he won't produce some kind of weapon if he realizes the game is up. Dude's got money, and we know his folks aren't shy about leaving loaded firearms right out in the open for anyone to take. So there's a solid chance he's packing heat. Either way, I'm not going out there empty-handed. At any rate, once we're suitably kitted up, our next order of business should be to search the entire house top to bottom before we ever even think about going outside. I mean, come on. Why would we assume Josh wants to find Ashley at all? He could just be luring Chris out to the woods so he can splatter him without having to scrub the floors later on. With that in mind, only once we're beyond certain that Ashley isn't somewhere inside do we even begin to consider going out to look for her. In any case, there's no way I'm doing anything the way this scumbag wants us to. Instead, we'll want to take whomever we can find and cut through the forest parallel to the path that Josh laid out. This'll help conceal our approach, as the nutjob is almost certainly keeping an eye out for us. Plus, it'll also provide us with some amount of cover should the bullets start flying. That said, the deep snow will make the process slow going, and probably a lot colder, so we should make sure to layer up with as much extra clothing as possible to keep our core temperatures from plummeting before we reach our destination. Speaking of which, while playing as Chris, we see that the trail eventually lets out at some old rundown workshop looking thing with the front door wide open. I have to assume this is where we're supposed to search for Ashley, but that doesn't mean we should charge right in. Let's have a look around first and see if we can find a window or missing plank that gives us a peek inside, or even an alternate form of entry. That open door has ambush written all over it. It also couldn't hurt to simply stop and listen for a bit before we make our move. By the looks of this place, the floorboards inside will be creaking like crazy, and gaining a sense of where Josh might be could make all the difference if things pop off. Then again, I'm not sure any amount of eavesdropping could prepare Chris for what he's about to walk in on.
Hello, and thank you all for joining me.
Wake up!
Tonight, we're gonna conduct a little experiment.
Oh God, Canadian Jigsaw. What is he gonna do, drown us in maple syrup? I'm joking, of course. The Canucks would never waste such a precious resource. No, clearly this horror show is built around that big-ass saw blade contraption out in front of Josh and Ashley. The rules are simple. Chris gets to choose who walks away, while the other gets cut in half. And yeah, obviously, we're picking Ashley. How is this even a decision? Look, just because Josh is seemingly wrapped up in this mess doesn't mean he's not involved. Alright? Think about it for a second. So far, we've been led to believe that we're being attacked by some wacko who holds a personal grudge against Josh's family. Why then would this guy set up the situation so that Chris is the one forced to endure the extreme emotional trauma of choosing which of his friends gets to live? If anything, you would think it'd be Josh in this position to maximize the torment inflicted before our killer ultimately reaps his delicious revenge. That's what I'd do anyway. Plus, isn't it a little weird that whoever this is knows Chris well enough to make him choose between saving his longtime crush and childhood best friend? Sure, I guess it could be a coincidence, but considering all the other suspicious shit we've seen, I'd say that's all the more reason to go with Ashley. And yeah, I suppose Josh's evil voice recording didn't specify how much time we have or what would happen if we picked neither and let the clock run out. But my suspicion is that it would default to Ashley, since that would likely hit Chris the hardest. And besides, it's not like Josh would actually let himself get cut in half, right? I'm sure the saw will conveniently malfunction right as it's about to rip him open. But hey, let's find out. Okay, dude's clearly committed to the bit, but you know what? No way. This has to be some kind of ruse, all right? I'm positive. We know from snooping around the house earlier that Josh's dad is an award-winning filmmaker, specifically in the genre of horror. And we also know that this place is well stocked with tons of old movie props. Plus, even if it weren't, Josh has resources, and likely a good amount of practical effects knowledge he picked up from his old man. I don't know if he used a fake body body or a puppet or trick photography or whatever, but I'm telling you, that mother right there is not real. Well, his body at least. And I know exactly how to prove it. Just pick up a long piece of wood or something and poke him right in the eyeball. Hard. Dude'll make a miraculous recovery. I guarantee it. I mean, for one thing, why wouldn't he at least try to lift himself out of harm's way? We can clearly see his legs are untied, and all he'd really have to do is get his feet up on top of the blade, and he'd be fine. The steel should be smooth enough to spin freely under his shoes, especially if he was still supporting most of his weight by pulling against his hand restraints. Plus, it might even break the thing. And hey, even if that wouldn't actually work, you'd think he'd at least try. What exactly did he have to lose? Nah, the way I see it, Josh didn't move his legs because he couldn't, because they weren't actually his legs to begin with. Also, just to tie up loose ends here, I do 100% believe Ashley would have died had things gone the other way. Well, that is unless she went with the aforementioned strat of pulling herself up. Core strength saves lives. As for Josh's intentions here, I think the point was to pile on whatever guilt Chris might be feeling from what happened with Hannah and Beth by adding himself to that list. And if Ashley got killed instead, that would just be a bonus. But let's be real here. Everyone, including Josh, knew Chris was saving his dream girl, and I'm sure that's exactly what the big bad wanted. After all, now he's free to go screw with them even more. Plus, there's also the added terror of knowing the maniac means business. Although, apparently that hasn't quite sunk in yet, given what our heroes do after running into Matt and Emily.
No, I just don't want to make hasty decisions that get everyone killed. You can get everyone else together and I'll go get help.
Yeah, those two sentences don't quite line up. Seriously though, splitting up is the last thing we should do here. Divide and conquer is exactly how Josh nailed us before, and it's exactly what he wants us to do next. Besides, for all we know, everyone else is already dead, or they're in hiding, in which case we'll have to spend even more time searching for them, thus risking even more exposure. Right now, the only thing that we should be thinking about is going straight back to the gondola station together. Once there, and only once we are there, we can pair off to make sure someone actually gets across. But until then, we would just be making it easier for Josh to single us out and throw us into another death trap. And speaking of death traps, we jump back to Mike as he's tailing the mysterious cave dweller to an old abandoned sanatorium elsewhere on the mountain. Of course, you and I know that this is just some strange trespassing hermit, probably even the same flamethrower man that Hannah and Beth ran into during the prologue. But Mike still thinks this guy's a killer, and now it looks like he intends to follow said killer into the abandoned sanatorium so that he can take him out, I guess. Yeah, here's a few reasons why this is a terrible idea. Number 1, the target appears to be using this dump as a home base, meaning he knows it better than you do, and will undoubtedly use that to his advantage. Hell, dude could even be sitting inside with a 12 gauge pointed right at the front door. In fact, it honestly wouldn't surprise me given the way that Mike was lighting himself up with a lantern while peeking out from behind the wall. Anyway, reason number 2 is the 2 wolf dogs he's palling around with, and the fact that they will almost certainly sniff you out the second you step inside. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter what the guy's intentions are if his cute pet rips you limb from limb before he even realizes what's going on. However, arguably the most important reason why this is stupid is the fact that Mike has already won. You did it, bro. You tracked the supposed killer back to his lair without giving yourself away. That means all you have to do now is find a way back to your friends, who, as far as you know, haven't all been brutally murdered. So you can call this in and let the cops handle it. After all, if this guy catches you sneaking in, he'll either kill you or go set up shop somewhere else. And then all of this was for nothing. Oh, and just as an added bonus point here, remember that it's still extremely cold outside, and there's no way this place has central heating. Meanwhile, Mike is still decked out in nothing but jeans and a wife beater, just another way in which he is woefully unequipped to deal with this situation. As for getting back through that whole steel shutter thing, there simply has to be a way to raise it. Otherwise, how could what's-his-name get to and from the estate? I mean, dude seemed pretty nonchalant about dropping it, so it's not like that was some desperate last-ditch means of cutting off access to his hideout. It's probably just for added security. Now, this is the part where I basically undo everything I just said, so bear with me here. Once again, if Mike would pull his head out for like 10 seconds, he would realize the man he's been stalking did not kill Jess, and that there is a horrible monster lurking back inside the tunnel that will straight up hack his MySpace the first chance it gets. Knowing this, Mike's best move right now really is to enter the sanatorium. Only instead of sneaking in like he intends to, he should make himself known immediately and ask the stranger for help. Obviously, this is still a major risk, since it's entirely possible the man is not friendly. But what other choice do we actually have? We can't go back through the tunnel because of the creature, and without winter clothing, we'll most likely freeze to death trying to find another way around. Nah, the only thing we can do right now is swallow our pride and do our best to look pathetic, which I can't imagine will be all that difficult given Mike's current appearance. Oh, and just for simplicity's sake here, we're gonna play through this next segment as though Mike suddenly had an epiphany about this whole situation and decided to abandon his homicidal intentions, as by all accounts, they're very stupid. This is why we ultimately chose to head in through the front door instead of crawling down into the basement. Well, that and Martin thought it was too scary. Unfortunately for him, the main floor isn't too much better, although at least it has lighting. For now, our biggest problem is the fact that Mike still seems to think that this is a stealth mission, so there's no way for us to call out to the stranger and have him let us through the locked door. That said, our guy's not exactly Sam Fisher, so I'm sure the host will figure it out eventually.
Take a peek inside.
All that for some worthless time cards. Classic. Then again, it was probably naive to assume that we could find the keycard without exploring the rest of this shithole. And just like that, things start to get creepy. According to the lore scraps we found, this is where the sanatorium kept a bunch of cave-in survivors who went totally bonkers, and it definitely shows. By the sound of it, these guys got pretty violent with the staff, which might even explain why this place went out of business. Everything from the claw marks on the walls to the most recent documentation suggests those lunatics were the last people admitted here, and there's no indication that they were ever sent home. But hey, that was decades ago. All the blood is long since dried up, and we even found a machete that we can use, so I'm sure everything will work out just fine. One thing's for sure though, I would not put that blade down for a second. Deranged inmates or not, we're clearly not alone down here. And then there's this thing. Looks to be a mummified arm on some kind of waving mechanism. So yeah, this is clearly a trap, but like for who? Who the hell would come down here? You know, besides us. Well, whatever. What's important is that there's a card attached to the wrist, which I'm thinking must be what we need to get through the door. I just wish we had the option to poke it with the machete before reaching in like a dumb. Oh well, here it goes.
Is this what he was feeding them?
Yep, that's about right. The real surprise is that the bear trap didn't snap through his fingers like carrot sticks. Guess we might as well finish the job. Besides, there's no way anyone's prying those jaws apart one-handed, so why even waste the time? Lucky for Mike, there's a conveniently placed bandage roll nearby that he can use to patch himself up. See, good as new. Oh, it's also probably worth mentioning that, that wasn't the thing that we needed, so... Whoops. Still, we've got to be getting close. After all, we're running out of these areas to explore. All that's left to check now are the ancient cadaver coolers, which I'm sure must be rigged as well. Let's find out. Cool, and wouldn't you know it, the stiff somehow had exactly what we were looking for. So that's definitely a win. That is, provided that we can make it past the hellhound that randomly pops up on the stairwell. Honestly, I would have just hacked him across the snout with a machete and called it a day. I mean, it's not like anyone could expect to outrun a dog of that size, especially up 3 flights of stairs. But evidently, Mike is built different. Like, they didn't even have us hit any button prompts or anything. Dude just flew up those steps like a champion. That brings us back up to the entrance where Mike finds the stranger's hideout empty, or so he thinks. Yeah, remember how you saw 2 dogs earlier, but only 1 down in the basement? Gosh, I wonder where the other one might be. Turns out it's right on the other side of the door, and since our guy mindlessly strolled in without his weapon ready, we're left to choose between punching the beast and likely getting our face ripped off, or staying cool and giving peace a chance. As you can see, we went with the latter, and it actually played out just fine. I wouldn't count on that working 100% of the time, but there's certainly some logic behind it. After all, it's not like Fido here could possibly know that Mike intends to lop his owner's head off, and in general, he seems far less aggressive than the one we encountered back in the stairwell. See, that's the thing with dogs. They can only go off of someone's behavior, and even then, unless you've shelled out some serious dough on training, there's a chance they won't do anything at all when someone breaks in. Keep that in mind. As for this particular pooch, I don't think he'll mind us snooping around a bit, but just to be sure, we went ahead and tossed him one of the bones from the stranger's stash, as well as a few pets for good measure. Unfortunately, our search efforts don't tell us much about who this guy is or what his motivations are, only that he seems to have been here long enough to redecorate. Still, we do come away with one of his old jackets to help protect us from the cold, and it might even serve to hide our scent from the other guard dog. Of course, if it doesn't, we also found a double-action revolver, so that's always an option. Anyway, now that we've armed ourselves and figured out where the stranger lives, there's nothing to do now but hide out and wait to get the drop on him. I mean, regardless of whether we're planning to murder the guy or simply talk to him, we know he's gonna come back here eventually, so why spend any more time stumbling around in the dark? But no. Instead, Mike wastes a round blasting his way through some shitty old padlock so he can continue his pursuit. You know, cause that totally wouldn't have tipped the dude off or anything. Now, if we're gonna do this loud and dumb, can we at least swing out the cylinder to check to make sure it wasn't the man's retirement plan? Last thing we need is another awkward click if things go sideways. However, it seems Mike is entirely unconcerned with trivial things like ammunition. Case in point, he goes on to dose another lock not 2 minutes later. Only this time, he gets a bit more than he bargained for. Nice. Say goodbye to your hearing. Probably would have been a good idea to figure out what was leaking out of those barrels before shooting a steel lock body next to them. While the copper gilding metal on the bullet won't actually create sparks, pieces of the jacket can still be hot enough to start fires. Plus, it's just stupid. Don't waste ammo. There's gotta be something down here that he could have used to pry it loose. Hell, he might have even been able to loosen the screws on the hasp with a machete blade, provided they weren't too corroded. The point is, there were other things that he could have tried before resorting to gunfire, which realistically wouldn't have even worked in the first place. Well, whatever. We'll check back in with Mike once the brain bleed wears off. For now, let's see if Matt and Emily have any luck at the gondola station. The answer is no. They do not. After boosting Emily in through a window, they find the place completely ransacked. But most importantly, the lift system requires a key to start back up. Gee, I wonder who would have access to such a thing. They're not hosed yet, as a map of the area directs them to a nearby fire tower, which, as Emily points out, might have a functioning radio. Honestly, it's worth a shot, especially given it could otherwise be days before anyone back on planet Earth realizes that there's a problem. The only downside is that Ashley and Chris won't know where to find them, but hey, that's what they get for splitting up. Also, no, we shouldn't leave some kind of note or anything, as Josh could easily circle back and find it before our friends do. Sure, he might know where we're headed regardless, but why make it a guarantee? Besides, for all we know, the others are already dead. In any case, the first order of business is getting around the station, which apparently means traversing a narrow ledge overlooking the bottomless gap below. And yeah, that seems like a really bad idea. I mean, why not walk around? Rewinding a bit, it looks like there's nothing but a simple wooden fence running behind the station. Plus, there's even a pile of wood or something that they could climb up on to get over even easier. Instead, Emily nearly buys it after losing her balance, and Matt could have very well fallen off trying to save her. Oh well, I guess it all worked out in the end. But still, I can only imagine there's a lot worse in store for these people, and if their natural inclination is to take the most dangerous route possible, it's probably not going to go too well for them. And sure enough, upon finding the cliff from the prologue, their immediate reaction is to walk right up to the end of it. Now, all they need is some previously unseen threat to come out of nowhere and force them over the edge. Good thing there's totally not a maniac running around or anything. And of course, as they're about to find out, dangerous people aren't the only thing to worry about up here.
Jesus!
Okay, elk aren't exactly what I had in mind, but that doesn't mean this isn't a serious situation. After all, it's not normal for them to approach humans like this, meaning someone or something likely scared them down the mountain. And judging by that horrible screeching noise that preceded their arrival, I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Matt and Emily, on the other hand, couldn't possibly comprehend just how screwed they really are, but they should at least be able to recognize that there's something else out there. First things first, we need to get past the elk. Keep in mind, the herd is already on edge, so we can't afford to make any sudden movements that might cause them to panic. Knowing this, we made sure to calm Emily down before carefully walking through the mob. Not that ripping and tearing was ever presented as an option. Although, we do get a prompt to crack one of the critters in the face for daring to stand in our way. Yeah, nice try, Rudolph. Or should I say, well, I don't really know any famous elk, but you know, you. Sniffing the air right in my face, just daring me to make a move so your little rat pack can dive right in. I'm not falling for your tricks, but rest assured, I won't forget about them either. This isn't over. Where was I? Oh, right. So now that we've made it through the herd, we need to keep our eyes peeled for whatever sent them our way in the first place. On the upside, we're not entirely defenseless this time around. Matt found a fire axe back at the gondola station, so if worst comes to worst, we at least don't have to worry about throwing down empty-handed. Plus, it inspires a degree of confidence that I'm sure they'd be lacking without it. Dude even says as much himself.
Look! An axe. I feel better with an axe.
Yeah, man, me too. Which is why I gotta wonder why someone in your position would then go on to leave said axe at the bottom of the fire tower when you could easily take it up the ladder with you. I mean, for all you know, the killer Chris and Ashley mentioned was the one who spooked the elk. And here you are, handing him your only available weapon. Awesome. I don't care if I have to hold that thing in my teeth like a pirate. It's coming with me no matter what. Seriously though, it's not like it's even that hard to visualize. Your hand should be big enough to hold onto the axe while still gripping the side rail with your fingertips. But oh well, I sure can't wait for Matt and Emily to climb back down, only to scratch their heads in confusion when they realize it's missing. That said, were I in their shoes, I'd definitely try to stay up in the tower as long as I possibly could. Not only is it the one place we know for sure the killer is not, it also turns out that they were right about the radio, which is far and away the biggest win that we've seen all night. There's just one problem. After flipping on the power and stammering out an SOS, the responding park rangers inform our heroes they won't be able to send a rescue chopper until dawn. And that's at the earliest. But hey, at least someone out there knows what's going on, right? Well, maybe. Throughout their conversation, the ranger clearly had a trouble understanding what was being said, which certainly wasn't helped by Emily's rapid-fire information dump, as well as her tendency to go full dog whistle when she gets worked up. Remember, when using a radio, you need to speak in clear, concise sentences, and only share what's important. And given what Emily did was basically the opposite of that, I'd want to confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt the ranger heard the part about us being attacked by a violent psychopath. Otherwise, it's possible that he thinks we're only stuck up here or something. And while that could absolutely prove deadly due to the cold, it's nowhere near as urgent as a bunch of people being systematically hunted down and slaughtered. In fact, I would probably just lie and tell them all of our friends had been shot to raise the stakes a little bit. Like I said before, there simply has to be some kind of access road leading up to the area, meaning law enforcement should still be able to reach us with snowmobiles regardless of the weather conditions. At the very least, I'd want to make sure whoever shows up with the chopper is armed, in case Josh isn't about to let us get away. Also, it'd probably be worth having Matt take over since his voice is much deeper. That and he's proven he's been able to maintain his composure, even if he's still dumb enough to leave perfectly good weapons behind. This is actually why we chose not to give him the flare gun that we found while playing as Emily. dude would probably just set it on the ground to tie his shoelaces and then forget about it or something. Plus, if there's a gun around, I want to be the one in control of it. Simple as. And no, we didn't stupidly fire it off into the night as prompted, because who the hell would be looking for it right now? This is definitely something that you save as a last resort, and if anything, it would only alert Josh to our location. Then again, judging by those motion lights clacking off, he's already found us. Luckily, Matt had the foresight to lock the hatch on his way up, although it seems our old friend doesn't know when to quit. You know what? I don't think that was Josh. Not that it matters to our protagonist, of course, since they're probably dead. I mean, the tower fell upside down into a mine shaft. That doesn't sound like something that you're gonna walk away from. But alas, by some miracle of plot armor, both Matt and Emily managed to survive pretty much unscathed. Although, the way this thing keeps shifting around, that could easily change any moment. For now, their biggest concern is getting Emily to a more stable part of the structure, which I'm sure would go a lot faster if she didn't just stand there hurling insults the whole time. Seriously, you have no idea how much I wanted to pick that jump to safety prompt and let her sort this out herself, but it occurred to me that she still has the flare gun, and since there's no way to tell whether that side tunnel leads back up to the surface, it could very well be our only way out of this mess. So, what to do now? Well, it looks to me like Emily could climb up using that nearby section of guardrail. We know it will support her weight because it already is. In fact, it didn't even break while she was holding on during the fall, so as long as she takes it slow, there shouldn't be an issue. However, once Emily falls off her perch, there's really not much either of them can do at that point. I guess Matt could try taking off his jacket and using it to pull her up, but that would probably ruin it, so I can understand his hesitation. In any case, the problem eventually solves itself. Hey man, you can't save them all. Thankfully, Matt's able to pull himself together in time to reach another ledge before things fall apart, but he's not out of the woods just yet. After all, the mine's been out of commission for quite some time, and for all he knows, that main shaft is the only way out. Plus, you gotta believe it's gonna be darker than the inside of a cow down there, which will make navigating the tunnels next to impossible without a light source. Knowing this, I'd want to hang around the pit in case the rescue team comes to investigate the fallen tower. Granted, there's no guarantee that they actually will, but given it's where the distress call originally came from, you would think that they'd at least want to give it a look, especially when the caller doesn't turn up anywhere else. Lucky for us, there's an abundance of wooden planks that we can use to feed the existing fires. Sure, it's probably too dark for anyone to see the smoke right now, but by the time rescue arrives, it should be visible enough to guide them to our location. Either way, it beats stumbling around in the dark. Last thing we need after surviving that ordeal is to fall and break our neck because we can't see 2 feet in front of us. And as for making a torch, we would need something like pitch or kerosene to soak it in first. Otherwise, it would probably burn out way too fast to be all that useful. That said, if we just had to go spelunking for some reason, we might as well give it a try. Besides, it could also double as an improvised club, you know, just in case we're not alone.
Get off!
Damn, guess we should have given Matt the flare gun after all. Oh well. Now, let's see. Who have we not checked in with? Ah, right, Sam. I wonder what she's been up to. Winding back the clock a bit, we join our hero as she's enjoying a relaxing soak in the upstairs bathroom. Possibly too relaxing. Fact is, Sam would have easily been within earshot when Chris and Ashley got jumped down in the kitchen. But wouldn't you know it, the earbuds strike again. Okay, alright, I get she couldn't have predicted that Josh would dress up like an 80s slasher villain and proceed to terrorize their closest friends in the dumbest ways possible. But for the love of God, who in their right mind would intentionally deafen herself while sitting in the dark with her back to the only door? Call me paranoid, but that level of sensory deprivation is far more than I'm comfortable with in any situation. I mean, at least if she were facing the right direction, she would have seen the masked lunatic sneaking in to run off with her clothes. Then again, that was also probably the only reason he didn't attack her directly, so I guess that's technically a win. In any case, Sam now finds herself being led down to the basement by a trail of red balloons, and while she couldn't possibly know that her life is in danger, I gotta wonder why she would mindlessly go along with it all the same. Just think, everyone else is gone, and all of a sudden, you're being cryptically lured down into the creepiest parts of the house. Even if you didn't know about your friend's proclivity for fucked up pranks, the only reasonable assumption to make is that you're being set up for humiliation. Now, is that really something that you want to walk into wearing nothing but a towel, especially when you know it's probably being recorded? And besides, it's not like there's some urgent reason for her to find the others. You know, aside from getting her clothes back, maybe. Still, were I in her shoes, or lack thereof, I would just plop down on the couch and wait for them to get bored. It's only a matter of time. But apparently, Sam isn't all that worried about winding up a laughingstock, and so she willingly follows the proverbial breadcrumbs down to the theater room, only to find out very quickly that this is no ordinary prank.
Josh!
How does it make you feel?
God, what did you do?
Alright, calm down. It's just a little corn syrup. For real though, it's actually a good thing Josh showed her the footage of himself being sawn in half, or else she might have thought it was just a joke when he came charging through the theater doors in maniac form. As for our response, we did pretty much all we could. Chuck a vase and run like hell. One thing's for sure, we're not slowing down to take the hide prompts, as the dude's basically right behind us the whole time. He's gonna hear it if we stop moving, and at that point, we would just be cornering ourselves. Problem is, we don't know the layout of this place, like, at all. And we're already down in the basement, so it's pretty much guaranteed that we'll eventually run into a dead end. And sure enough, our flight leads us to a heavy wooden door in the wine cellar that's missing the knob. Guess there's nothing to do now but pull down one of the wine racks to buy ourselves a few more seconds of precious life before Hair Lip Steve can stomp us out. Of course, it might also be worth grabbing a couple wine bottles to try and smash him over the head. We could even try breaking them against the wall and stabbing him in the throat. Or we could break them over his head, then stab him in the throat. You know, why limit our options here? However, by some absolute miracle, it turns out the knob was sitting on top of the rack, allowing Sam to open the door and deadbolt it behind her at the last possible nanosecond before she would have got. So where does that leave us now? Well, we appear to be in some kind of storage room with another door that leads to ? From what we saw earlier, it doesn't look like there's any way for Josh to loop around and reach us from the other side, but it's hard to say for sure. Whatever the case, here's what I'm thinking. What if we just stay put for a while? Like I said it before, we're already underground, and in all likelihood, the only way back up to the surface is via the same staircase that we used to get down here. Going deeper into the basement is only going to take us farther away from our ultimate goal, which is getting the hell out of here, meeting up with any survivors, and either killing the bastard or finding a way off the mountain. Plus, sticking around will make us a lot easier to find on the off chance that someone comes looking. Meanwhile, the door behind us seems pretty solid, and there's more than enough stuff in here to barricade both sides for when Josh inevitably comes back. If we're lucky, and he's an idiot, he'll approach from the other side, and we can run for the stairs. However, realistically, he'll return to the same door with an axe or something to try and smash his way in, at which point we'll have no other choice but to bail out the back and hope for the best. Either way, I'll take it over blindly stumbling around and risking another ambush. That being said, it'd still be worth taking a quick peek behind the door number 2 so we know what we're working with. Worst case scenario, it's another dead end. Best case scenario, it's the secret family's weapons cache. Or it's a sudden 4-foot drop. See, once again, this is why we don't recklessly launch our entire body weight against flimsy wooden doors. Sam's just lucky she didn't crack her skull open on the landing. As for what we're looking at here, I'm not 100% sure. It seems to be some kind of rundown old building that the main house was built on top of, which, for a family in the horror movie business, must be like striking gold in your own backyard. Could even be why they chose to build here in the first place now that I think about it. Of course, for a nut job like Josh, this place serves as the ideal hunting ground. Dark, confined, lots of twists and turns. I'd say that's a pretty good reason to turn right around and forget this place ever existed. Unfortunately, the only options that we get here are hiding in what looks like a busted up old elevator or running down a random hallway, and they both kinda suck. The elevator looks like a death trap that could fall apart the second we climb inside, and even if it doesn't, there's no escape route in the event that we get spotted. Now, the hallway, on the other hand, doesn't seem all that bad by itself, but why exactly do we have to run? We've already given Josh the slip, at least for the time being. so running would only create unnecessary noise that could give away our position. Not to mention, Sam is barefoot. I mean, she's probably gonna need a tetanus shot after this either way, but still, last thing she needs is a rusty old nail going through both sides of her foot. Oh well, here goes nothing. Classic. Talk about rushing to your death. There was absolutely no reason for Sam not to take it slow and carefully survey the corner with her flashlight before committing. At least then she might have had time to run before Freak Show could hit her with the gas. Guess we should just be glad that it wasn't hooked up to a cattle stunner. Then again, by the time this is over, Sam will probably wish that it had been. At any rate, now is probably a good time to check in with Chris and Ashley since they stupidly went to go find her. Sure, it's not like things went all that great for Matt and Emily over at the cable car station, but I can't imagine this part of the plan will shake out that much better. For starters, neither of them even thinks about trying the house phone even though Ashley confirms that it still has power. And while Josh most likely cut the line, the fact that they don't bother checking suggests these two aren't exactly overstocked in the brainpower department. Not to mention the fact that they all but completely ignore the ominous trail of red balloons that definitely weren't there before. Gosh, I wonder if they had anything to do with the fact that Sam is nowhere to be found. Seriously, given everything that they've seen so far, they'd have to be total morons not to arrive at this conclusion. In fact, this would be all I needed to see to bag this up entirely and start working on my exit strategy.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Just think about it. The balloons were either set up to lure Sam into a trap, which is, of course, what actually happened, or they were set up to lure us into a trap. Either way, we're not equipped to deal with the situation, which means we're probably not getting her back. So let's leave. Unfortunately, our heroes only realize that they've been had once they head down to the basement, but by then, it's already too late.
What the heck?
Must have been the wind. And wouldn't you know it, now the only doors that'll open up are the ones leading down into the basement. What a bizarre coincidence. Allow me to spell this out for you. You're being led into an ambush. You turkeys. That means Josh knew you were coming and is almost certainly watching you right now. And that also means you should not continue traveling in the direction that he wants you to travel. I don't care how long it takes or how many times Chris dislocates his shoulder. We are busting down the door behind us and we are leaving. We'll pile on as much winter clothing as we can find and head for the lift station. And yes, I know it's not working, but Chris and Ashley don't. Regardless, they can still check out the map like Matt and Emily did to find somewhere that they can lie low. Obviously, the fire tower's out, but were I in their shoes, the old sanatorium would seem like the best bet. Whether or not they would actually make it there given the threats in the area is another story entirely, but without knowing what we know, there's no reason for them not to at least try. I mean, let's face it, they can't stay at the main house. Even if Josh isn't the one behind this, whoever it is clearly spent enough time up here to rig everything up, so they pretty much have the home field advantage. Plus, if all else fails, he could just set the place on fire and shoot them when they run outside. It's the oldest trick in the book. Well, okay, maybe the second oldest. The real oldest trick in the book is waiting patiently for your prey to stroll right into the kill zone, which is exactly what's happening right now. But are Chris and Ashley aware of this? No. Instead, they're too busy arguing over whether Ashley just saw a ghost. And yeah, she definitely saw something, but we all know that there's far more dangerous things around here than people who are already dead. At any rate, our protagonists keep brainlessly charging through the remote-controlled doors until they reach the basement, wherein they're promptly greeted by an assortment of random crap flying across the room in true horror movie fashion. Most importantly, however, the sudden surge of spookiness reveals a key hidden behind a painting. Now, if only we knew what it went to.
Oh my god! There! Look there, Chris! You can't tell me you didn't see that!
Yes, we all saw that. And were we anywhere else right now, I'd say that's pretty far out. But again, Josh's dad makes horror movies. If anyone's gonna have some kind of ghost machine lying around, it's these a-holes. But no, According to Ashley, it's the spirit of either Hannah or Beth coming back to aid them on their journey. Cause, you know, ghosts are famous for helping the people who played a role in their demise. Oh, and would you look at that? The thing was pointing to a locked dollhouse that contains a near exact recreation of the time you and your friends bullied Hannah out of existence. She must be trying to tell you something. Probably that she's not real and that this entire thing was orchestrated by Josh. Okay, just think about it. Even if there were some omniscient third-party psycho who knew what happened down to the exact placement of each person in the room, why would he care enough to torment people involved? According to the note we found earlier, this supposed mystery killer wanted Hannah and Beth dead, and we were led to believe that he made that happen. So if anything, he should be grateful that these morons gave him the opportunity to carry out his evil plan. And obviously, we know the ghost didn't put this together because ghosts aren't real. It's some kind of projection or puppet or something. I'm telling you. No, clearly Josh set this little scene up to guilt us into feeling like we deserve what's coming to us. And to top it all off, he tossed in Hannah's old diary so we could read all about how excited she was to see Mike that evening. How tragic. But hey, I half expected that dollhouse to clack off a claymore when they turned the key, so it certainly could have been worse. As for where we go from here, the door to the next room randomly opens as soon as they're done with the diary, which somehow neither of these goofballs find suspicious at all. Oh yeah, also this happens. So much for a friendly ghost. Gotta say, for someone so intent on luring people to their deaths, Josh doesn't seem all that concerned about potentially scaring them away. Not to mention all the interesting clues he's left behind in this area, which, at the very least, should make them think twice about what's really going on here. The catalog, the camera, the stack of fake newspapers, it's all very odd. Of course, at this point, Chris and Ashley could probably walk by Bigfoot without taking another look. So I'm not exactly surprised they didn't bust the case wide open here. Credit where it's due, however. Ashley does think to pocket a pair of scissors that she found. And while they certainly wouldn't be my first choice walking into the lion's den, they're better than nothing. Let's just hope she has the nerve to deploy them effectively once things go horribly wrong. For now, the situation just keeps getting creepier and creepier and creepier as they descend deeper into the structure beneath the house, culminating in their arrival at some kind of meat processing facility, where it seems Josh had been hard at work harvesting pig parts for his hyper-realistic body double. That's my take anyway. The carcass clearly hasn't been down here for very long, and by the looks of it, most of the delicious parts are still intact. Whatever the case, this is a pretty clear indication the killer was down here recently, and could very well return at any moment. Knowing this, we should probably stick close together and look for anything that we can use to defend ourselves. Some of those chains hanging around could make for decent improvised weapons, and I'm sure there's some butcher knives or whatever lying around that we could take advantage of. But wouldn't you know it, our protagonists do literally the exact opposite of this. Not only do they neglect to arm themselves with the plethora of violent garbage lying around, God Four Eyes decides it's time to go wandering off ahead while we're still having a look around. I mean, aren't we supposed to be looking for Sam? What if she's in this room right here? I know I want to see what's inside of this room, but I'm sure as hell not gonna risk it when our only backup is staring off into space 30 feet away. Like, do you not remember what happened the first time you guys got slightly separated by a single wooden door? Come to think of it, the way these things keep slamming shut every time we walk through, we should be jamming up all the doorways with random trash to keep our escape routes open. Something tells me we're gonna need them sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, we don't get this option in game. And just to make matters worse, we're suddenly forced to choose between two pretty terrible decisions. Do we follow Chris through the heavy metal door that he can barely hold open, or go chasing random movement alone because Ashley thinks it might be Sam? Well, let's think for a second. The door will undoubtedly shut behind us, at which point it'll most likely become locked. And without knowing what's inside or whether there's another way out, that could be a serious problem for us. On the other hand, chasing noises around in the dark by yourself is straight up Sudoku-side, and we will not be doing it, period. And besides, Sam is blonde and petite, neither of which are adjectives I would use to describe that shadowy figure lumbering around in the other room. We're taking the door. And at least for now, it seems like we made the right choice. Evidently, Josh has a soft spot for Sam, as he decided to forgo the hacksaw routine and simply leave her tied up. Or, you know, maybe she's just bait. Okay, not exactly mixing things up with that second gas attack, but whatever gets the job done. Still, a move like that takes time. And were it not for Ashley dropping her flashlight, dude might have had a fight on his hands. Keyword, might. Poor Ashley here makes Sam look like the sheriff of Baghdad, and things didn't go all that great for her. Now, did they? Okay, in all fairness, Sam was unarmed and taken by surprise, while we have the benefit of cold steel in our corner. Now, using the power of our DualShock controller, we'll guide Ashley's aim to deliver a decisive and devastating scissor attack on Josh's shoulder? What? No, for real, what? What's even the point of giving us control during this sequence if we can only use it to do something stupid? I'm calling the shots here, and I say we stab this dork in the eyeball 52 times. But God, why? Why the arm? The one place you already know isn't gonna stop him in time. Even if you totally severed the brachial artery, Josh would still have as much as 30 seconds to retaliate before succumbing to blood loss. Sure, it'd be one thing if she pulled them back out and nailed him a few more times, but no. Ashley leaves the scissors in the wound, thereby disarming herself while also minimizing trauma and hemorrhage. Now, let's see how that works out for her. Yep, that's about right. Keep in mind, during Josh's lengthy recovery period, Ashley could have easily taken the opportunity to try and flee or deliver follow-up strikes. But instead, she just stands there like the world's dumbest deer, just waiting to get splattered by a semi. And look what happened. Priceless. Well, whatever. Can't wait to see what kind of Ruby Goldberg death machine they woke up in this time. I'll spare you Josh's jigsaw impression and break this one down myself. Above them is some kind of tandem saw blade contraption that's slowly descending towards their heads. And on the table is a semi-automatic handgun loaded with an unknown quantity of ammunition. According to Josh, the only way to stop the blades is for Chris to either shoot Ashley or do something that I can't talk about on YouTube. Now, understandably, Chris's first reaction is to target the machine in the hopes that it can be destroyed, but that's actually pretty reckless, given he doesn't know how many rounds he's working with here. After all, why give him more than just one? Chris could have inadvertently doomed the both of them before they even had a chance to think it through. With that in mind, the first thing that I would do in this situation is drop the magazine to see what we got. If it's full, then there's nothing to worry about. But I'm pretty sure I could still get us out of here with only a single shot. Alright, take a look at this whole system Josh has rigged up here. The whole scenario. What is the single weakest component that you can see? Did you say the belts driving the saw blades? Because if you did, you're probably getting sawed in half. It's their restraints. Looking at Ashley, it's nothing but a couple zip ties holding her arms in place. And while it's a little harder to tell with Chris, I can't imagine he's dealing with anything that much more substantial. I mean, if it were a steel shackle or something, then we'd be hosed. But in this case, all we have to do is pull against the zip tie to create as much of a gap as possible, place the barrel right up against it, and then bang. Instant freedom. As for Ashley, there's no reason we couldn't repeat the process as long as we have the ammunition. However, we could also use the gun to smash Chris's glasses and then saw through her restraints using the broken lenses. For that reason, I think this trap is beat. Moral of the story, use nails next time. Oh, but wait, once again, all the smart decisions are off limits here. And that means we have to play Josh's stupid game exactly as he laid it out for us, which naturally makes it a lot harder. Nah, I'm kidding. This one's easy.
Oh my god, no! No, no, Chris!
Aw, come on. I'm a good shot. You won't even feel a thing. Probably. Look, let's face it, between the two of them, who do you think is more likely to survive long enough to take revenge? Ashley's barely been hanging on by a thread since they first entered the basement, and while she did show some backbone during her face-off with Josh, the fact is, that was more the exception than the rule. Obviously, Chris is no Arnold Schwarzenegger, but whether it's out of bravery or stupidity or both, the dude's consistently demonstrated the ability to remain calm in high-stress situations, and when it comes to survival, keeping your head is extremely important. That being said, Josh told us we have to shoot her, but he didn't specify where. Is it possible we could mouth the words "play dead" and then aim for an anatomically less significant area? Honestly, no, not even close. First of all, it's not like Josh would let us get away with grazing her outer arm or something. It'd have to be somewhere in the torso, and without access to medical attention, she'd almost certainly die anyway. Plus, even if we somehow managed to sneak this by the camera, we couldn't possibly predict how Ashley might react to the extreme pain of being shot. Whatever the case, the game only gives us two choices, and one of them could easily get this video age restricted. Sorry toots, it's just business.
God, no! No!
Had to be done. So who are we left with? Well, as we saw earlier, Sam is still alive, and it seems she's finally decided to stop being unconscious just in time for Mike to happen upon her holding cell. Evidently, the tunnels under the sanatorium link up with this dump, which unfortunately leads to a case of mistaken identity. You see, Mike still thinks the rando he's been tailing is some kind of superhuman maniac, and upon hearing Sam's side of the story, the two conclude they must be dealing with the same guy. Now, given the circumstances, it's somewhat understandable, but here in just a few, the misconception will kick off a pretty unpleasant chain of events. For now, our protagonists bring Sam from the makeshift prison and proceed to the next room, only to find Chris and Ashley fresh off that last round of Would You Rather. Strangely enough, it appears as though Ashley is completely unharmed. And damn, that's gotta be awkward. I mean, at that point, do you shoot her again? Or just let the saw blades cut you both in half? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Lucky for her, Chris won't get a second chance, as the master of ceremonies suddenly arrives to let them off the hook.
You've heard of blanks before.
I never would have guessed. That's right. In a twist that absolutely no one saw coming, it turns out Josh was the big bad all along. Question is, why? Well, revenge obviously, but beyond that, this nutjob claims he was out to make some kind of viral prank video / horror film. And while his use of practical effects was certainly top notch, that doesn't change the fact that he put his supposed friends in actual danger the entire time. First of all, Josh isn't a doctor. I've already covered how knockout blows and chokeouts could have serious consequences for those involved, but the gas attacks are on another level. Now, it's unclear which chemicals he was using to put people down, but no matter what, there's an inherent risk of death due to overexposure or getting the mixture wrong. Not to mention the fact that he was using the same substance on both men and women of differing height and weight. Suffice to say, the amount of gas needed to incapacitate Chris might be way too much for someone like Sam, which could easily cause her to suffocate. Also worth considering here is that Josh is not an engineer. All these crazy saw blade contraptions he put together were pretty much entirely custom made. However, that last one was just an accident waiting to happen. Even if you take the saw blades out of the equation, dude had a frickin' I-beam dangling over their heads. All it would have taken is the hoist brake failing, and they'd be seeing Tweety birds in hell. And finally, just to put icing on the cake, Josh gave Chris a front-firing blank gun and told him to either eat it or fire it at Ashley, which is only something you would do if you didn't give a single rusty about their survival. As demonstrated by a number of high-profile incidents, blank rounds can kill, and being the movie buff that he is, Josh would have undoubtedly known about this. In Ashley's case, expelled wadding, debris in the barrel, or a mismanufactured blank could have blinded or even killed her depending on where she was hit. As for Chris, the rapidly expanding propellant gases can cause a depression fracture when placed directly against the head, potentially puncturing his brain with pieces of his own skull. Point is, you just don't do this. Blank-loaded firearms should never be pointed at an actor at any time, something I learned about firsthand during the production of our awesome cool Triple Tap videos. You can check those out via the link in the description. Getting back to the story, I'm not quite sure I buy the whole "it's just a prank bro" routine Josh is trying to sell us here. The way I see it, this is just his way of weaseling out after he saw Mike roll in with a .357, and it seems I'm not alone.
Jessica's dead. You were gonna pay!
I think that's fair. Still, there's a few important questions here that need to be answered, chief among them being how a punk like Josh could rip Jess out of a window before dragging her hundreds of yards through knee-deep snow at a dead sprint. Just like the mysterious stranger, there's no way in hell he's pulling that off. Plus, how could he have been in two places at once? It's simply impossible that he was the same guy Mike spotted back at the sanatorium. Knowing this, we should have taken the time to thoroughly question Josh before caving his head in with a revolver. There will be plenty of time for that later. Right now, our biggest concern should be figuring out if he has an accomplice and whether he's aware of any of the other threats in the area. After all, he did kick this whole mess off by sending Mike and Jess out on their own. Could be that he was hoping something else might do the pranking for him. Whatever the case, Mike and Chris skip straight to the part where they lock him up and throw away the key, which I have to say, doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, the guy deserves it, but the priority should be turning him over to law enforcement so they can start piecing things together. Besides, Matt and Emily are still unaccounted for, and regardless of whether Josh had anything to do with their disappearance, they could very well be in need of urgent medical attention, especially Matt. Seriously though, instead of tying Josh up in the shed and waiting until morning, we should have had him show us where to reconnect the phone line so we can get that call out ASAP. If that's not possible, then we'll use his key to fire up the gondola and try to find some cell service on the other side. Also, I question their decision to keep him so far away from the main house. I mean, sure, if they're planning to torture him without someone interfering, that would make total sense. But otherwise, he'll just be harder to keep track of. Just think, with the others around, we'd have multiple sets of eyes on him, and we could even set up a guard rotation to cut down on exhaustion. Instead, Mike intends to stay out by himself until morning, which only makes him easier to overwhelm should Josh have a partner around, or worse. But hey, at least they won't have to worry about him running his mouth.
Son of a bitch! Ah! Stop, dude! Chill out!
Oh, and let you have all the fun? Yeah, right. Well, whatever. At least that's one problem solved for now. As previously mentioned, there's still the issue of tracking down our missing friends. And while Matt's probably not coming back, it turns out Emily might actually have a chance. After surviving the fall by absolute luck, our plucky hero swings herself over to a nearby ledge just in time to watch the remnants of the tower come crashing down beside her. Unfortunately, this is where Emily's good fortune starts running thin. She's currently trapped deep underground in a rundown old mine that could collapse at any second, and the only known way out involves free climbing over a bottomless pit in low light conditions. Definitely not where I'd want to be. That said, she's not much worse off than Matt was before he went and got hooked. So our strategy remains the same, just to stay put and wait for help to arrive. Plus, she even has the flare gun that she can use to draw their attention once the helicopter shows up. However, because the whole magic conch mechanic doesn't sell video games, we're left with no other choice but to explore the pitch black tunnels and hope for the best. The only good news here is that Emily at least has the means to whip up a decent torch beforehand. Also, props to her for soaking it in oil as well. That'll keep it burning for quite a bit longer, although I'd still put together a few extras just in case. Underground light is life, and there's no telling how long we're gonna be down here. One thing's for sure, all those god-awful screeching sounds wouldn't exactly put me at ease. We are clearly not alone right now, so I'd be hesitant to do anything that might make a lot of noise. You know, like ramming a minecart through a pair of flimsy wooden doors. Just saying, there's more than enough scrap metal lying around that she could have probably used to pry them open. Couldn't hurt to keep an improvised weapon handy either. As for our escape routes, we eventually come across an ancient elevator that likely leads up to the surface given the presence of a nearby time clock. Naturally, the power's out, so we'll have to put a pin in that. Although, if I'm being perfectly honest, that is the last thing that I'd want to use in this situation. Fact is, all machinery will inevitably fail given enough time. It's clearly been quite a while since that piece of crap was in proper working condition. No, instead, I say we keep it simple and stick to good old-fashioned, reliable ladders. And there goes our only torch. This is, by all accounts, very, very bad. but we're not hosed yet. No major bleeds, no broken bones, and we even got our phone light to fall back on. Of course, the cluster of human skulls fastened to stakes is far from reassuring, but I'm sure that was just like a mining accident or something. Nothing to get all worked up about. Now, those horrible monster noises, on the other hand, are certainly cause for concern, and it sounds to me like they're getting even closer. It's not like we have any other options. There's all of zero chance the rescuers will be able to find us down here, especially when shouting for help could easily draw unwanted attention. Well, maybe. It also seems like there might be another regular human person down here who may be running a flamethrower. Here's hoping he's on our side. Either way, I'm checking the chamber on that flare pistol and keeping it close by. Like I said earlier, light is life. That is, until it's burning through your eye socket. Thankfully, the most dangerous thing we ran into on this level was a rock wall, which was easily climbed without incident. This brings us back up to the catwalk where we lost our torch, and not a moment too soon. Turns out our cell phone was running on empty, so what to do now? Well, we found the power switch for the elevator, which somehow still works after all these years. Once again, I'm not super confident this thing will hold up, but at this point, I'm willing to risk it. Of course, we can't simply climb down the wooden supports and go straight in. That would be easy. No, instead, we have to take yet another trip through the dark and spooky tunnels, and while video game logic dictates it'll eventually loop around, I'm sure there'll be no shortage of freaky encounters along the way. Interestingly enough, the detour leads us to the same shaft Hannah and Beth fell into during the prologue, and we know this because of all the evidence. We've got Hannah's picture, Hannah's glasses, her locket, and most notably, Beth's rotting severed head. Guess she hit the ground harder than we thought. Naturally, this raises the question of what happened to Hannah, as it seems she might have actually survived the initial fall. Starvation's my guess. I mean, it's not like there's a Denny's down here, but oh well, not our problem. Back to the elevator. The good news is that it works, and pretty well at that. However, the bad news is that it doesn't take us all the way out. And just to make matters worse, the flamethrower guy stumbled upon our location. Now, it's unclear what exactly he's hunting for down here, but it probably isn't human. The sound alone makes that fairly obvious. But there's also the fact that he's using a flamethrower. Don't get me wrong, they work just fine on people, which is why we definitely don't want to surprise him right now. But aside from the entertainment value, there's no reason why he'd be lugging around such a heavy piece of equipment if he didn't have bigger fish to fry. That being said, Emily almost certainly thinks this is the maniac that Chris and Ashley were talking about, so it makes sense that she'd be fearing for her life right now. In that case, given what she knows and doesn't know about the situation, I'd say her best bet would be to hop back on the elevator, take it all the way down, and then try to reach the power switch as quickly as possible to prevent him from following her. From there, I'd head back to where the fire tower fell and sit on my ass like she should have done this entire time. Sure, she could try beaming him with a flare gun, but small plastic models like the Orion typically don't have much power. I mean, it'll still hurt like hell, but it's not likely to kill him or even knock him out. And yes, I realize he's holding a flamethrower full of extremely flammable fuel, but unless he rolled around in it beforehand, that's not going to be an issue. However, what will be an issue is the fact that he'll probably just clinch the trigger and burn Emily to a crisp before she has time to react. Dude's down here fighting demons, for Christ's sake. I'm sure he's already on edge as it is. That realization alone would be enough to keep me from frantically running away like Emily does here. Honestly, it's a miracle the dude didn't roast her alive the second she came into view, even if that wasn't his intention. Having seen what the monster did to Jess, I would be burning anything that moves. As for Emily, she manages to break line of sight with relative ease, only to find out the hard way why aimlessly running is never a good idea. You might hit a dead end. Here we are, left to decide between hiding or going back the way we came, which really doesn't seem like much of a choice. After all, Fire Bro is right behind us, so what would turning around accomplish? Of course, it also doesn't do much good to pick a hiding spot that's right beside an open flame.
Use these and get the hell out of here.
Well, that was nice of him, I guess. Still, if he knew about the danger, why wouldn't he tell her to get behind him so he could work his magic with the Zippo? Like, come on, she doesn't know this place or what the monster is. How the hell could anyone realistically expect her to make it out on her own? If anything, he just doomed her to a slow and agonizing death like poor Hannah. But I suppose only time will tell. For now, Emily at least has the benefit of the road flares that she received before the fall. God knows this pit would be impossible to navigate otherwise. Unfortunately, that's only half the problem. There's also the matter of the unknown super beast lurking off in the shadows somewhere. And here we are lit up like the Hindenburg. Obviously, we don't have much of a choice if we want to use our eyeballs, but depending on how many flares that we're given, we might be able to extend our field of view a bit by tossing one ahead and then sort of leapfrogging them as we move through the tunnels. It's not much, but an extra second or two of advanced warning could give us a chance to line up the flare gun, for whatever good that'll do. And at a minimum, it'll leave us some time to be scared before getting violently torn in half. So there's also that. Of course, no matter what we do, there's always the possibility of running into a bottleneck where we're basically helpless. I sure hope that doesn't happen.
Okay, this is gonna be the way.
Well, this isn't good. All we can do now is button prompt our way to safety as the, what the hell is that thing? Okay, alright, even fuller disclosure. I have seen pictures of the monster before, but the way it moves is all weird and jittery. It must be destroyed. However, that'll sadly have to wait, as we're currently lacking in firepower, but rest assured I'll do everything in my power to end this freak show. That's a nerd promise. Getting back to the story, we're suddenly faced with yet another decision, left or right? Well, looking at the sign, the little elevator symbol is on the right side, which means there's probably an arrow on the left, so that's where we're going. And sure enough, it turns out that we were right. Fun's not over yet. That creepy crawler's still hot on our trail, and no amount of boulders or burning barrels are likely to change that. This brings us to a conveyor belt system leading up to a rock crusher, which for some reason, Emily decides to activate before boarding. Now, I realize it's possible that she didn't know it led up to the whirling spikes of death, but why even mess with it in the first place? It's not like it's gonna lend you a significant speed boost or anything. Whatever the case, we chose not to leap off the belt because Martin hates Emily and wants her to die. Lucky for her, there's a catwalk on the other side of the crusher that she can use to avoid getting ground into chili. From there, we just have to bolt the door behind us and we're home free. At least, that's what Emily seems to think, for some reason. And now she's standing with her back pressed right up against the door. Gosh, I wonder what'll happen next. And now we have cooties. Who could have seen that coming? However, just when it looks like the end of the line, our hero makes use of a nearby zip line to make her escape. Zip lines, of course, being very common pieces of equipment in Canadian mining operations. Obviously, I'm joking here, but I don't know. Are they? Canadian mining nerds, make sense of this in the comments. Realistic or not, the move buys Emily all the time she needs to rejoin the others, who are understandably incredulous upon hearing about the encounter. The way they see it, everything's all good because Josh is locked up. Except, what the hell was she running from then, you dolts? Well, fortunately, we won't have to wait all that long to get our answer, as a sudden knock on the door heralds the arrival of a mysterious one-eyed monster hunter who could tell us everything we need to know about the current situation. Now where have I seen this before? At any rate, we decide to let Mike keep the revolver while we open the door, since there's no point in arguing. The plan was stupid to begin with. Hell, even the dumbass counselors in the quarry were smart enough to call out through the door and ask the stranger's intentions before letting them in. Not to mention the fact that by choking up on the door, Mike risks putting their only weapon within snatching distance of the potential threat actor, which is, of course, exactly what happens. So now that the newcomer has himself a captive audience, we finally get some insight into the non-Josh related spookiness that's been taking place. Although to call it unbelievable is a bit of an understatement.
You should never have returned. I don't know why you did after what happened last year. This mountain
belongs to the Wendigo.
Oh, okay, the Wendigo. Like some wholesome Hawaiian shirt-wearing YouTuber's been up here dragging people off into the wilderness. Please. I know what I saw down in the tunnels, alright? That right there is a Spider-Man. Just look at the way it moves. Very spidery, but also man-like. And regarding his point about not coming back, dude's acting like they could have possibly known some horrible monster thing chased Hannah and Beth off a cliff. Plus, it's not like he tried to warn them about it or anything. You know, if a scarred up old hermit armed with a flamethrower told me not to come back to someplace, I would probably listen to him. But hey, credit where it's due. He is coming to warn us about it now. Granted, 2 of us are already dead and that number will likely increase as the night goes on. But at least we finally have some amount of confirmation that there's something else out there. As for what we do about it, the stranger suggests that we hold up somewhere safe like the basement and wait for help to arrive. And you know what? I think that that's a great idea. Let's all go downstairs, lock the doors, and then sit on our hands to prevent us from doing anything stupid until the helicopter shows up. I mean, just like with the quarry, we're in a situation where we can simply run out the clock in relative safety, and then everything will work out just fine. You already know what's gonna happen. Naturally, there's a problem that prevents us all from doing that, and that problem is Josh. Or should I say, the fact that these morons saw fit to march him all the way out to the woodshed when they could have just as easily kept him in here. Turns out, Mike left him back there after hearing Emily scream, and now Chris wants to launch a rescue mission because he feels bad for hitting him earlier.
Chris! Maybe he deserved it.
I know, right? How barbaric. He only knocked several of us out on multiple occasions through a combination of blunt force trauma and chemical warfare. We should have just given him a hug. For real though, screw that guy. Dude lured us up here under false pretenses so he could allegedly use us as unwitting cast members in his low-budget Drek. And all the while he put us in actual danger and made us fear for our very lives. Okay, the prank we pulled on Hannah was I 100% admit that, and he can certainly make the case that it contributed to their disappearance, but it's not like we burned them both alive at the stake and made him watch. Nah, Josh had his fun, he got his revenge, and as far as I'm concerned, that makes us even. He can sort this out himself. And besides, it's not just Chris risking his own life going out there. If he gets spotted, he's almost certainly going to come running back here with Peter Parker hot on his ass. And since we know that that thing has no trouble busting through walls, it's gonna get inside, and then it becomes a problem that we all have to deal with. Not happening, bro. Deal with it in therapy. That's what I would have told him anyway. Instead, Chris's so-called friends don't even try to talk him out of it. Like, at all. Come to think of it, that's probably why the old man volunteers to go with him. Sheer pity. Either that, or he's just grown tired of living. Because it sounds to me like this little adventure has exactly 0 chance of going their way. On the positive side, he does give us a shotgun, so at least we won't have to be stuck making snowballs once things go horribly wrong. Unfortunately, buckshot alone won't be enough to actually kill the SOB, as its outer hide is apparently thick enough to stop a bullet, but according to what's-his-name, we'll still be able to slow it down a bit, which is certainly better than nothing. Now, that being said, I'd feel a lot better if we had a way to take it out for good, and thankfully, the old-timer came prepared. Turns out, all you have to do is burn away the skin to reveal its soft, chewy center, at which point the freak will go down like anything else. It's just too bad our guy didn't mention this sooner, as I'm sure there was a lot more than booze back at the lodge to make up a few Molotovs. Guess we better hope he topped that flamethrower off before coming up to chat. However, beyond killing the beast, we learned something extremely important about its behavior that should have been relayed to everyone else as soon as the topic came up, this being its vision. Our guide tells us the creature can only see movement, which honestly makes me wonder how it could possibly navigate the mines without beating itself to death. Whatever the case, this pretty much turns our Unalive mission into a game of red light, green light. And it could even mean that Josh is still alive. That is assuming he kept his mouth shut. Unfortunately, the jury's still out on that one, as our heroes arrive at the shed to find it totally empty. Now, it's unclear whether this is due to Spider-Man activities or Josh slipping away on his own, but either way, we've done all we could do for the guy. So yeah, this was a colossal waste of time, and just to make matters worse, the game is now prompting us to stand still, and you know what that means.
Gotta get out of here.
Well, so much for staying still. Guess he must have lost his head. Jokes aside, this is very bad, but at least our 12 gauge can reliably knock it on its head. Also, it's worth pointing out that the old man was pretty much holding still when he got. Granted, he was shouting at the time, but I think it's safe to say our new best friend has a decent sense of object permanence, meaning that just because we aren't moving doesn't mean it'll automatically forget our last unknown location. In that case, our only hope is to break line of sight as quickly as possible to prevent it from reacquiring, and in my mind, that means running back into the workshop. After all, the lodge is at least 100 yards away, and we only have so many shotgun shells. Knowing this, I say we blast the sucker a few times to keep it off balance, and then bust in through the nearby door. Sure, it'll probably follow us in, but if we're able to lose it, it won't be able to find us again unless we start making noise. At that point, we just have to sit tight until morning, and then we're good to go. You see, before he checked out, the old man said the monsters only hunt at night.
Mostly.
And with just a few hours left until dawn, I'd say our chances are pretty solid. At the very least, they'll be better than if we try to outrun this thing. But it seems Chris hasn't thought that far ahead. All we can do now is shoot and scoot and pray to God our shotgun doesn't go click before we make it back. And by some miracle of plot armor and marksmanship, we actually pull it off. Well, assuming someone opens the door.
Ash, what are you doing?
What a vindictive little rat. She literally just stood there and let our guy get lopped. And all over what? Because he didn't immediately turn into a superhero the second things got desperate? Dude didn't point that piece at you for fun. He thought he was about to get cut in half. Jesus. And don't even try to pull that whole, oh, she didn't want to let it in BS, because there was no way a door like that was keeping anything out. In fact, it shouldn't have been a problem to begin with. If I were Chris, I would have gone through that thing like the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, and then Ashley has the nerve to tell Mike she was too late. Meanwhile, the only reason either of them are still alive is because she was standing still when Chris got nailed, something which she couldn't have possibly known would keep her safe. So basically, as far as she knew, she was both killing Chris and putting everyone else in danger by sticking around to watch it happen. Yeah, you know what? Dude should have kept shooting. Who knows? Maybe Josh slipped in a Hydra shock by mistake. At any rate, now that Chris is dead and the potentially life-saving information he picked up is gone for good, our remaining protagonists are left to ponder their next move underground. Not sure what there really is to think about, when the correct answer is sitting right in front of them. Nothing. Do nothing. We know Emily made contact with the Rangers. They said that they're sending help. All we have to do is nothing. Until dawn. At which point we all draw straws and then send Ashley up to make sure it's safe. But no, according to Mike, sitting quietly underground in a concrete bunker is far too dangerous, as the creature might eventually find them. Instead, he decides they need to leave the safety of the basement so they can take the gondola back across the ravine. Keep in mind, this requires them to walk 100+ yards through the snow outside where the creature is. I hope you see the problem with this line of thinking. That said, it doesn't really matter anyway, since Emily can confirm the station's powered down. As a matter of fact, it's actually a good thing that they were too stupid to take the key from Josh earlier. Otherwise, they might actually attempt this. Unfortunately, Mike just doesn't know when to quit. You see, Emily thinks she might have seen some kind of nest while she was stumbling around down in the mines. And even though she has exactly zero evidence to support this conjecture, she suggests it's possible the monster may have dragged Josh down there for future consumption. Here's the thing, without hearing from Chris, they have no way of knowing that Josh wasn't still at the shed. I mean, for all they know, Chris and the old guy didn't even make it halfway there before getting jumped. But hey, let's assume for all intents and purposes that Emily is correct about Josh's current whereabouts. Mike would still have to find an entrance to the mine, scour God knows how many miles of maze-like underground tunnels, dig through Josh's tattered remains to find the key, and then come back, all without getting violently torn to shreds in the process. Meanwhile, the girls would still be waiting in the basement, possibly for hours, which is the very thing that he wants to avoid by doing this. That is completely insane. And maybe if Mike actually had time to think it through, he would come to the same conclusion, but sadly the focus suddenly shifts to Emily's untreated bite wound. According to Mike and Ashley, it's only a matter of time before she succumbs to the infection and becomes a Spider-Man herself, even though that's clearly not how any of this works. During his exposition dump, the old man said that those who engage in cannibalism are doomed to inherit the web-slinger's curse, and no matter how they try and spin it, being bitten by someone else does not make you a cannibal, okay? It just doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. But of course, we all know Reason has long since left the building, and now the mob demands that she be thrown out on her ass. Naturally, Emily isn't too keen on the idea of getting her head popped off by a Marvel character and attempts to plead her case. But it seems her tribe has already spoken, and now it's up to us to decide her fate.
I can't do this.
Can't is the wrong word. More like shouldn't, after all. If Mike's charging into the lion's den, he'll need all the ammo that he can get. Oh, except, never mind. He actually leaves the gun behind before he goes. You know, for safety. Yeah, nice knowing you, dude. Just to make it that much worse, Ashley starts going through the old man's journal, in which he clearly states that bites are harmless. So basically, Mike went unarmed for no reason. Awesome. And I guess Emily probably deserves an apology.
Please, just try to understand. Understand the palm of my hand, bitch.
Yeah, that seems appropriate. Now, it's also worth mentioning here that killing the creatures will supposedly release their spirits out onto the mountain, where they can potentially inhabit new hosts. But, so what? Just don't eat people and they can't infect you. Problem solved. And yes, I recognize that at one point I did sort of imply that I would potentially devour anyone who didn't buy my merch, but that was only in the event of an apocalypse, okay? If that happens, I'll make sure to avoid Canada, and everything will be just fine. However, it appears that Sam is sort of on the fence about cannibalism, and so she decides they need to go after Mike and warn him just in case she gets a craving later on. Okay, alright, it's probably something else, but still, I shouldn't have to explain what a horrible decision this is. First of all, Mike's little fetch quest was always going to be a one-way trip, alright? There is no way anyone would ever be coming back from that, but let's just say that he does. Well, now none of you are going to be there, which means he's going to go looking for you and probably wind up getting himself killed in the process. Meanwhile, the three of you are pretty much walking into certain death, and if you're dead and Mike's dead, then there's no one left to warn people about the danger up here. And speaking of things that probably won't work, we join Mike as he re-enters the Hermit's bachelor pad back at the sanatorium. This time around, we find even more useful items in the form of a torch and a sawed-off shotgun, along with a hefty supply of ammunition. And what does Mike do? He grabs a single fistful of shells and calls it good, as if he could possibly know how many he's gonna need. Seriously, what is it with this dude and leaving stuff behind? You've got all these extra pockets between the field jacket and your jeans, and you only take like 8 shells with you? I mean, just look at that ammo can. There's gotta be hundreds in there. I would be more shotgun shells than man if I found that thing. Oh, and who could forget our guy's propensity for shooting every single lock he comes across? Might want to save some for the monster you're so worried about. Just saying. Still, I guess I should be happy he actually took the thing to begin with. This means we'll probably get to shoot something, ideally multiple times. And the good news doesn't stop there. At some point along his descent into madness, our guy stumbles upon the friendly wolf dog from earlier, and by the looks of it, he's down for some payback.
Here's the plan. There should be a way through the psychiatric wing that'll take us right outside the mine. Think you can handle that?
I'm glad he's on our side, because we're definitely gonna need him. Almost immediately upon entering the psychiatric wing, our furry friend alerts to possible enemy presence, and based on the old documents lying around, it seems those miners from back in the day underwent some kind of transformation, meaning we could have as much as 15 additional freakazoids screwing around down here. That said, there's no reason to go blasting at anything that moves, at least not yet.
Fucking rat.
Well, that was satisfying. Unfortunately, we just rang the dinner bell. And while we might be able to lose this one by ducking into a nearby office, the fun is far from over. Gotta hand it to Mike though. The dude knows when to fight and when to stay out of sight. I mean, as much as I'd like to run through this dump guns a-blazing, the fact is, we're really only equipped to deal with these things one at a time. Lucky for our hero, he's got us behind the wheel. And our keen spidey senses allow us to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge our way through the gauntlet of pinned-up freaks without having to fire a single shot. Well, almost. You see, Martin, this is why we can never save everyone. Because your big, stupid butcher's hands keep hitting the wrong buttons at critical junctures. Sorry, folks, it's just hard to find good help sometimes. Of course, no one's sorrier about this than Mike, who now has to deal with two of the bastards backing him into a corner. Sure, we've got enough barrels for both of them, but given their resilience to gunfire, that would only delay the inevitable. No, if we're gonna make it out of this one, we're gonna need more firepower. And what better way to kick things up a notch than by exploiting the game designer's shaky grasp of ballistic weaponry. Don't try that at home. Now, ridiculous as that whole scene was, it did serve to teach us a valuable lesson about the monsters, in that we know for certain that they can be killed. See, there goes their souls right there. It's a dead giveaway. At the same time, we can't do it without fire, so it makes sense that Mike would choose to flee from the next encounter as opposed to wasting more shells. Besides, we can always come back for them later, preferably with the old man's flamethrower so long as we're able to find it. Sadly, upon reaching the exit, our canine companion decides it's time to part ways. Probably because he knows we're about to get mobbed. Not gonna lie though, I was expecting him to be a bit more valuable during that last segment, but all the same, he will be dearly missed. So here we are at the door to the mine, and the worst of it is that wasn't even the hard part. We still have to double back through this nightmare again after searching the tunnels, and that's if we're lucky. However, on the positive side, the forces of hell decided to send another couple minions our way as a parting gift. So, at least we won't have to worry about taking them out later. As for how we handle this predicament, you'll notice a large supply of fuel drums piled up right beside them, and while it probably shouldn't have worked the first time, I bet it'll work again. Oh, right, I forgot fire hurts us too. Whatever, Mike's tough. I'm sure he'll be fine. Anyway, now that that's over, let's see how the girls are doing. By the looks of it, they're all still alive, so it's going better than I expected. But their mission hits a snag upon discovering that Mike locked the doors behind him. Evidently, he didn't want anyone or anything coming up behind him, which certainly makes sense given the circumstances. Whatever the case, the correct response to this development would be to simply shrug their shoulders in defeat and return to the safe room that they never should have left in the first place. But instead, our intrepid band of heroes decide to crawl down through a nearby sewer grate because, and I quote, where else would it go? Oh, I don't know, literally anywhere? For all you know, it's let out on the moon. And besides, even if it runs under the sanatorium, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to reach it. I mean, just take a look around. The whole place is falling apart. All the other ladders could easily be blocked off or destroyed. Meanwhile, if you come under attack, you'll have no room to maneuver, and the only known escape route involves slowly climbing up towards the surface. No, this is a terrible idea, and yet they somehow managed to make it even worse by letting Ashley fall behind, thereby creating the perfect opportunity for tragedy to strike.
Jessica, is it you?
Yeah, I get the feeling Jessica's not doing much talking these days. This is clearly some kind of ruse created by the Spider-Man to lure us astray. I mean, just do the math. Mike already told us what happened to Jess. It's definitely not Hannah or Beth, and the only other women up here walked further up ahead. I mean, I guess it's possible Sam and Emily could have gotten ambushed after leaving line of sight, but as tight as the quarters are, we probably would have heard it go down. Furthermore, while reading the journal, we learned that the freaks possess an innate ability to mimic human prey, owed to the fact that they were once humans themselves. What's even crazier is that Ashley was the one who told the others about this, so I'm not sure how she could even consider going off to investigate. Of course, you all know I'm no fan of Red based on her previous actions, but it occurs to me that if we send her off to die, Sam and Emily will almost certainly go looking for her, and thus the cycle continues. So, as much as it pains me to do this, we must resist Ashley Ashley's natural urge to subtract herself from the gene pool and continue with the mission. And sure enough, we round the next corner to find our friends safe and sound, but it seems we've reached another roadblock. Once again, this would be a great opportunity to wash our hands of this endeavor and go back to sipping hot cocoa in relative safety, but Sam's not about to let something as trivial as a broken ladder stop her from needlessly throwing her life away. And so she tells her friends to head back while she goes on alone. Yeah, don't have to tell me twice. We'll put something nice on your empty grave. Nah, I'm sure she'll be fine. After all, as Sam herself points out, it's pretty much just a rock wall, right? Well, no, it's actually a rock wall inside of a pitch black cave full of horrible monsters who all want to eat you, and you're going in alone without any weapons. Like, I know I keep harping on this point, but seriously, who in their right mind would actually go through with all this? Not me, I can tell you that much. But unfortunately, we don't have a choice in the matter. And so, with no other options, we use our special rock climbing powers to advance the plot. All that's left to do now is track down Mike, which turns out to be the easy part. We just have to follow the explosions. Perfect timing. Apparently Mike must have run out of ammo, which could have easily been avoided had he used his brain earlier. I mean, it's either that or he just barred the door with a shotgun for no reason. But you know what? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And with that, we make our descent into the belly of the beast, where we finally get some answers regarding what happened to Hannah and Beth. Now, as we discovered earlier, it seems Beth died on impact, whereas Hannah was left to starve, but it doesn't end there. Upon finding Hannah's written testimony, we learned that the intense hunger eventually got the better of her, and so she unburied her sister's remains for one last family meal. And the rest, as they say, is history. Well, that's brutal. Although, on the bright side, Hannah's technically still alive, just not in the way that any of us might have hoped. In any case, we'll have time to sort that out later. For now, we still need to focus on finding Josh, which I guess means crossing through this frigid underground pool of stagnant water. And while it certainly looks like we could potentially go around it by squeezing through the stalagmites, we all know the game is not going to let us do that. So we might as well just shut up and swim. Fortunately, it seems hypothermia simply doesn't exist in this universe. Otherwise, our heroes would have undoubtedly frozen to death a long time ago. Then again, that would have been a far better way to go out than what all these poor had to deal with. Yes, it appears we've stumbled upon the big bad's private meat freezer, which means Josh can't be all that far away. And sure enough, Mike and Sam find him wandering around a nearby chamber, alive, but clearly out of his mind. Oh well, nothing a little slap can't fix. Evidently, Hannah's love for her brother must have survived her transformation, but that doesn't mean she won't tear his friends to pieces if she catches them down here. Knowing this, the gang goes to make their escape. Only, there's a problem. Free climbing up 100 feet of icy rock is simply too much for Josh to handle in his semi-coherent state, so they decide to split up, with Sam taking the key back up to the surface, while Mike and Josh find another way out. So yeah, basically the boys just volunteered to die. Jokes aside, there really isn't a better way to go about this without leaving Josh behind, which is certainly an option. Actually, wait, why not leave Josh behind? Clearly, Hannah has no interest in killing him, or else she would have already done it. Meanwhile, Sam and Mike can go get help and come back for him later, ideally with backup. And if that doesn't work out, well, you know.
He dies. He dies.
Either way, someone has to get back to the others, or else this whole thing was entirely pointless. Well, more entirely pointless. But hey, I guess we'll see how far they get.
Hannah!
Huh, not very far, but at least there was a touching family reunion. As for Sam, her trip goes a lot smoother. Upon making it topside, she gets to enjoy a nice leisurely stroll through the forest. For a moment, anyway. It soon becomes clear that she wasn't the only one who came out that way, but luckily, she had just enough of a head start to reach the lodge, and apparently, so did Mike? What the hell? There's no way. Dude had to have teleported or something. Or, I don't know, maybe he's a force ghost. Okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna think about it right now. Let's just get this over with. After breaking in through the back door, our heroes head down to the basement to check on the others, only to find out that they made a few friends, with a pair of freaks hot on their heels. Sam shuts the door behind her before retreating upstairs, but it seems this party's just getting started. Gotta admit, it's not looking good for Team Good Guy right now. Between Hannah swinging from the chandelier and the mutant miners coming up from below, we're pretty much trapped. And one can only stand perfectly still for so long. But just when it looks like it's curtains for our protagonists, we come to find out that there's division among the ranks of the undead. Evidently, these old school Spider-Men don't take too kindly to newcomers eating people on their supernatural mountain, and so a civil war ignites, with Big Bad Hannah handily ragdolling her fellow monsters like they were made out of paper. More importantly, however, the ensuing struggle severs the gas line leading into the fireplace, and this gives Mike a raging clue. If he can break a nearby light bulb, flipping it on might trigger an explosion, or it'll do nothing. That said, it's worth a try. I've been out of ideas since they left the safe room. Anyway, as the battle for Mount Washington rages on around them, Micah carefully inches his way to the bulb, crushing it just as Hannah homes in on his position. It is here that we reach the final decisions left in the game. First and foremost, do we save Mike or run for the switch? Well, seeing as how there's still one more of the bastards bouncing around in here, I don't think running is likely to work out, so I guess it's Mike's lucky day. Also, Ashley and Emily already bravely ran away the first chance they got, so we don't have to worry about them. Not that we actually do. Now, the problem is Sam decides to save Mike by shouting at the monster, thereby drawing it to her position. It's kind of a nitpick, but I feel like she could have done this better by tossing her headlamp or something. Then again, it probably wouldn't make a difference, as the surviving miner freaks picks this exact moment to kick off round 2. However, it's still too risky to make our escape. Like I said back near the beginning of this mess, slow and steady wins the race. We just have to bounce from cover to cover as Hannah looks away, each time getting closer and closer to our ultimate goal. Then, when the time is right, we run like scalded dogs. Yes, just like I planned. Me, Nerd Explains, and nobody else. And with that, Mike, Sam, Emily, and Ashley are finally free to leave Canada forever. And you know why? Because the goddamn helicopter showed up like 3 seconds later. You never even had to leave the basement, you idiots. You just made everything that much harder on yourselves. Jesus. Okay, so in the end, we managed to save 4 out of the 8 original partygoers, and I think that's pretty good. That said, had they followed our advice to the T, we probably could have saved Chris and Josh along with them, as well as cut down on quite a bit of pain and suffering. For that reason, I think Until Dawn was beaten. Moral of the story, never trust someone who has a reason to hate you. Also, I know I was pretty hard on this game in the writing at times, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't thoroughly enjoy my experience with it. This isn't a plug or anything, but I know they're working on a remaster of Until Dawn set to come out sometime this year, and as long as they don't screw it up, I am 100% grabbing that on Steam. Nerd approved.